Chapter 270. Fei Ren, you're quite a straightforward person. I like your temperament. The Axe Gang is only a third-rate force. Today, we'll completely overturn it. Chu Qian pursed her lips and smiled. In the next moment, she crossed her arms in front of her chest. Clearly, she was very optimistic about Fei Ren's idea. After all, the leader of the Axe Gang was only a Zhanghe realm cultivator. Even if he had a group of body refinement realm cultivators as subordinates, they were still a motley crew. They were no match for the two of them and could be destroyed with a flip of the hand. She and Fei Ren were both at the 5th level of the Star Realm. Not only were they far stronger than ordinary cultivators, but they could also fight above their level. Not to mention dealing with a third-rate force. Even destroying a first-rate force would not be a problem. In Fei Ren's eyes, only the genius disciples of the 9 ranks of the great families could contend with him. However, they could only contend with him. Even the genius disciples of the 9 ranks of the great families would find it extremely difficult to defeat him. Since the last time he fought with Chu Zhaoge, his origin power cultivation showed signs of a breakthrough. Now that his injuries had completely healed, the bottleneck of his cultivation had loosened. When Fei Ren officially broke through to the 6th level of the Star Realm, he would not need to fear anyone below the Martial Master Realm. He could even kill a half-step Martial Master Realm cultivator. Princess, it's a good thing you don't like my people. Fei Ren could not help but speak again with a teasing tone as he grinned. Ever since he had lived in seclusion in the Ox Village, his relationship with Chu Qian had become more and more harmonious. Even if he made a little joke, she would not immediately flare up like before. Fei Ren, what do you mean? Why would this princess like a guy like you? Even if this princess likes you, it's your honor. Do you understand? As expected, a trace of dissatisfaction appeared on Chu Qian's pretty face. She immediately frowned and coldly snorted. Her seemingly angry, yet not angry, and aloof appearance was actually somewhat cute for a moment. Little brother Fei Ren, are you going to? At this moment, seeing Fei Ren and Chu Qian's appearance of accumulating strength, the gray-clothed old man by the side also stepped forward and opened his mouth to speak. There was some uncertainty on his old face. Although, when Xionghu had been crippled, his worry hadn't dissipated in the slightest. After all, the Axe Gang was a third-rate power. In the entire Ox Village, besides him, who possessed a cultivation at the 8th level of the body refinement stage, most of the villagers didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken. They simply couldn't afford to offend the Axe Gang. Village head, where's the nest of the Axe Gang? Fei Ren didn't speak bluntly. Instead, he countered with a question. The gray-clothed old man was afraid of the third-rate Axe Gang, but to Fei Ren, this wasn't even worth mentioning. Little brother, the leader of the Axe Gang, is a middle unity stage martial art practitioner. His strength is profound, several times more powerful than this when Xionghu in front of you. You'd better not. Seeing Fei Ren inquire about the whereabouts of the Axe Gang's nest, the gray-clothed old man's expression froze. He immediately exhorted in a low voice, as if he had seen through the other's thoughts. After all, when Xionghu's Yuan power cultivation was only at the 10th level of the body refinement stage. Although he was only a step away from the middle unity stage, the difference in strength between the body refinement stage and the middle unity stage was enormous. The gray-clothed old man, who was also a martial art practitioner, clearly understood this point in his heart. Although Fei Ren and Chu Qian in front of him were martial art practitioners of the younger generation from a certain family, and their strength wasn't weak, they were still young after all. The gray-clothed old man was also afraid that the two of them would walk into the tiger's mouth and die in vain. In addition to the leader of the middle unity stage, the Axe Gang also had several leaders at the 10th level of the body refinement stage. Their strength was similar to that of when Xionghu. Subconsciously, the gray-clothed old man didn't think that Fei Ren and Chu Qian would be a match for the Axe Gang. Old man, can you cut the crap? How can those weak warriors be our opponents? Hurry up and tell us the address of the Axe Gang's lair. Do you still want to solve the crisis of your Ox Village? That's right, Zhou Bao said. Seeing the gray-clothed old man hesitate and worry, Chu Qian beside him also put her hands on her hips. She then opened her mouth to urge him. Her tone was obviously somewhat impatient. "Village head, please believe us." After speaking, Faerun also stepped forward with a calm expression. The gray-clothed old man in front of them didn't know the true cultivation of the two of them. When he saw that the two of them intended to kill their way into the heart of the Axe Gang's nest alone, he naturally felt a little worried. This was also human nature. Faerun wasn't surprised. Well, the Axe Gang's nest is located in the plain field town, 100 miles away from the Ox Village. It is the largest force in the plain field town. I heard that there are about a few hundred people under their command. In addition to the leader, there are several experts at the 10th level of the body refinement stage. Their strength isn't weaker than when Xionghu's. This time, on the way to the plain field town, we have to pass through a large mountain. The mountain is often haunted by magical beasts and is very dangerous. In the past, a villager even discovered the existence of a yellow, rank magical beast. "Little brother, the two of you have to be more careful." Seeing that Faerun and Chu Qian were determined to go to the Axe Gang's nest, the gray-clothed old man sighed and then opened his mouth to warn them. His tone was solemn. "Plain field town, huh?" Hearing this, Faerun secretly nodded his head and his face showed that he was thinking. "Faerun, there aren't any martial artists around here. It seems that it is related to the entrenchment of the forces. I estimate that most of the martial artists are gathered in the vicinity of the plain field town. After all, this is only the border area and not close to the center of Dongling province. Not only are the martial artists few in number, but their strength is also weak." On the side, Chu Qian also understood on the spot. At the same time, she transmitted her voice to Faerun. "Village chief, thank you for the information. Goodbye." After inquiring about the information, Faerun naturally wouldn't waste time. He immediately cupped his hands and said. At the same time, he turned around and left the Ox Village. Seeing this, Chu Qian also followed closely behind. Her figure escaped into the vast mountain forest. Faerun, according to the old man's description, other than the Axe Gang in the plain field town, the rest are small forces. Do you want to kill their upper echelons and leave? Don't bother about the underlings below. After all, this is the territory of Dongling province. If we make too much noise. In the forest, Chu Qian turned her head to look at Faerun beside her while hurrying on the road. Her tone was probing. To cut the weeds, we need to dig up the roots. We can't let the tiger return to the mountain. Moreover, for many years, the Dacha dynasty and Dongling province have sent out countless scouts and snipers to each other. It's like a fantasy to find these spies one by one, let alone the two of us. The Axe Gang is just a third-rate force in a small town. Even if we destroy the Axe Gang in one fell swoop, the mountain is high and the Emperor is far away. These forces in Dongling province won't pay attention to it at all. Even if they know, they will only think that it is a fight between some gangs. Unless Princess's strength is so great that you can destroy the 9 ranks of the great families or forces in Dongling province. In that case, it will probably cause a commotion. Even the people from the 8 ranks of the Heavenly Sword sect will be attracted here. In the face of Chu Qian's inquiry, Faerun shook his head and smiled faintly. It seemed that he had already expected it and didn't take it seriously. Chapter 271. Then pretend I didn't say anything. Hearing this, Chu Qian knew that she had no words to refute, so she immediately stuck out her tongue. In any case, to her, the Axe Gang was just a third-rate force in a small town that could be easily destroyed. Moreover, as the other party had said, even if a small third-rate force was destroyed, it would not attract the attention of some of the powerful families and sects in Dongling province. After a while, Faerun and Chu Qian passed through the dense forest of the mountain range and arrived at the edge of a hill. Looking from the edge of the hill, they saw a small town gradually appearing. It was faintly visible that there were many martial warriors and loose cultivators coming and going. It seemed to be the plain field town that the village chief of the Ox Village had mentioned. We're here. Looking at the plain field town not far away, Faerun's footsteps did not stop, and once again flew towards the town. The Axe Gang's lair was located in the northwest of the plain field town, and was the local overlord. Although the strength of the Axe Gang was uneven, and most of them were only at the body refinement realm, they had the advantage of having a large number of people, and the security of their lair was also very tight, so it was easy to distinguish them. Fei Run, there were some martial warriors with weapons at the entrance of the town. It seems like they are from the Axe Gang. Why didn't you make a move? Stepping into the town, seeing Fei Run heading straight towards the northwest of the town, Chu Qian was slightly surprised. In her heart, the other party was not a kind man or woman. He had always been merciless towards his enemies. From the tragic death of Lu Ming and the others, it could be seen that Fei Run was ruthless and decisive. Just some small fish and shrimps. Killing them is just a waste of time. We want to kill the big fish. Facing Chu Qian's doubts, Fei Run shook his head, and his speed did not decrease. Since he had made a move, he had to eliminate the root of the problem. He understood this principle very well. At the same time, in a lobby of the Axe Gang's lair, it's too mysterious. Today, I played 5 or 6 rounds, and they were all small numbers. Could it be that the ecliptic is unfavorable? More than a dozen martial artists dressed in tight clothes were having fun, drinking wine and shaking dice in their hands. The scene was noisy and lively, but one of them, a middle-aged man with a sallow face wearing a gray robe, was frowning. At this moment, he was tapping his finger on the table intermittently. "Sect leader, what's wrong? It's rare that our brothers are in such a good mood today. Why do you look so gloomy?" A horse-faced young man by the side asked in a puzzled tone when he saw the worry on the middle-aged man's face. These people all came from the Plainfield Town's Axe Gang. As the only third-rate force in the town, the numerous members of the Axe Gang lived a very happy and leisurely life. Usually, in addition to going out to hunt magical beasts and collect offerings from some villages, most of the time, they would eat, drink, and play in the gang. At present, everyone was shaking the dice to gamble on drinking. The loser had to punish himself by drinking 3 rounds of alcohol. However, the middle-aged man's luck was very bad. He lost several rounds in a row. Moreover, every time he guessed a bigger number, he would end up with a smaller number. It was very mysterious. Old Six, do you think this sect leader will care about winning or losing such a small thing? I just feel a little strange. That one Xionghu went out for a long time, and he still hasn't come back. Glancing at the horse-faced young man beside him, the middle-aged man slightly raised the corner of his mouth and then said disdainfully, "That's also true. Sect leader, you are a dignified Zhanghe realm master, a tyrant of the Plainfield Town. This little bit of winning or losing is nothing. It's just drinking a few more cups of wine." The horse-faced young man nodded and bowed again and again. His tone was full of flattery. The middle-aged man in front of them was called Di Qing. He was the sect leader of the third-rate force Axe Gang. At the same time, he was the only Zhanghe realm master in the surrounding 100 miles of the Plainfield Town. His primary power cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the Zhanghe realm. He was more powerful than the Iron Palm School leader Guo Huai in Fei Ren's hometown Wuhan Town. After all, the national strength of Dongling Province was slightly stronger than the Dacha dynasty. At the same time, the comprehensive strength of the Dongling Province's martial artists was also more powerful than the Dachu dynasty's martial artists. "Okay, stop flattering me. Is there any news of Wen Xionghu?" Di Qing clearly understood his subordinates very well. He immediately snorted coldly and said indifferently, At this time, facing Di Qing's question, the horse-faced young man only stretched out his hand and scratched his head. It seemed that he didn't know the whereabouts of Wen Xionghu. After all, his primary power cultivation was low. He was only a small member of the Axe Gang. He simply couldn't control Wen Xionghu, the Axe Gang's incense master. Wen Xionghu was one of the few 10th level body refinement realm martial artists in the Axe Gang other than Di Qing. "Gang leader, I heard that incense master one seemed to have gone to the Ox village 100 miles away. He said that he wanted to catch a few women and bring them back to have some fun. However, he went for half a day and hasn't returned yet." Beside him, seeing the faint anger on Di Qing's face, another thin and tall man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks timidly said. He seemed to be afraid that Di Qing would explode on the spot. He even put down the wine cup in his hand and didn't dare to breathe loudly. Fine women. Facing the thin and tall man's words, Di Qing's face froze. He was somewhat disapproving. After all, the Ox village was about 100 miles away from the Plainfield town. Moreover, the women in the village were far inferior to the seductive women in the Fengyue brothel. When Xionghu had gone to the Ox village to have some fun and hadn't returned for a long time, it wasn't difficult for him to feel suspicious. Could it be that something has happened? A bad feeling suddenly appeared in his heart. In the next moment, Di Qing's eyes became serious, and he secretly pushed his stomach. Although Di Qing had single-handedly created the Axe Gang wasn't a big family. Other than him, an expert at the middle unity stage, and a few martial artists at the 10th level of the body refinement stage, the strength of the majority of the gang members wasn't that great. There were even some street thugs at the 1st or 2nd level of the body refinement stage who took advantage of the situation to join the Axe Gang. This group of people only wanted to intimidate others and gain some benefits. Once a fight broke out, they couldn't be counted on and would only be cannon fodder. Therefore, when Xionghu, the 10th level of the body refinement stage, incense master of the Axe Gang, was particularly important. If something happened to him and they lost a 10th level body refinement stage martial artist for nothing, it would be a big loss for the Axe Gang. Boom! As Di Qing was inwardly pushing himself forward, a deafening boom suddenly rang out from the outside world. Next, 5 or 6 Axe Gang members were sent flying backwards before crashing heavily into the hall. Blood sprayed out from their mouths as they screamed miserably. Their blood instantly splattered across the entire hall. Judging by their wretched appearances, it was clear that they would not survive this ordeal. Who is it? Enemy attack. The sudden change caused the faces of the Axe Gang members in the hall to change slightly. They cried out in alarm one after another like a group of confused headless flies. This is bad. At this moment, gang leader Di Qing's pupils shrank and his expression was one of shock. Just a moment ago, he suddenly felt an invisible and strong murderous aura lock onto him. This feeling of impending death made him feel as if there was a thorn in his back. He couldn't summon the slightest thought to resist. In his heart, he instantly understood that this person's cultivation was far above his. Chapter 272. Whoosh! Suddenly, another golden waterfall traversed the air and shot directly toward Di Qing in the lobby. The attack was biting cold. Bang! At this critical moment, Di Qing, who was shrouded by the strong threat of death, felt a chill in his heart. He immediately rolled to the side, subconsciously, and barely avoided this fatal attack. At the same time, his entire aura of Yuanli rose to the extreme. Boom! The golden waterfall ruthlessly smashed on the floor of the lobby. Immediately, a majestic Yuanli swept out and exploded. A huge shock wave also defeated the Axe Gang members in the lobby. They fell to the ground one after another. For a moment, there were countless casualties and howls of grief everywhere. Although Di Qing had avoided this fatal attack, the body refining stage members under his command were not so lucky. In less than a breath's time, more than half of them were dead or injured. At this time, there were less than 10 Axe Gang members left in the lobby who could still fight. Most of the others had died under the impact of the golden waterfall. High Star Stage. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. At this time, no matter how stupid Di Qing was, he knew that he would die if he continued to stay here. The opponent's strength had already reached the High Star Stage. Moreover, he was not coming for him alone. He planned to destroy the entire Axe Gang. Run! Just as this thought appeared in his mind, another golden waterfall blasted through the air. The attack was fierce. Obviously, the opponent did not intend to give Di Qing a chance to escape. Whoosh! Swish! Yuan energy tore through the air and instantly arrived before Di Qing. It was like a sharp golden blade, and in the next moment, it fiercely pierced into the flesh of Di Qing's right arm. Instantly, it tore open an enormous wound, and Di Qing's figure staggered before falling to the ground. Pucci! Di Di Qing spat out a mouthful of blood. The Yuanli aura on his body plummeted. His entire right arm was badly mutilated. It seemed that it had been completely shattered by the golden waterfall's blade. His bones were broken, and he was almost crippled. Gang leader. Seeing Di Qing fall to the ground in an instant with serious injuries, the few surviving Axe Gang members on the side were also shocked. Their eyes were filled with horror. It had to be known that the other party was the overlord of Plainfield Town, a dignified third-level Middle Union boundary martial artist. He was a nearly invincible existence within a radius of over 100 miles. However, in the face of this sudden attack, he was unable to withstand a single blow. He was like a soft persimmon that was being squeezed in the hand. Your Excellency's strength is extraordinary, yet you only dare to hide in the dark and launch sneak attacks. Forcefully enduring the intense pain that came from his right arm, Di Qing's eyes became fierce in the next moment. He immediately raised his hand and chopped off his already crippled right arm. At the same time, he shouted fiercely toward the outside of the hall. It was as if he already knew that he could not escape. He had the aura of a warrior who would cut off his arm and not turn back. As you wish. As soon as Di Qing finished speaking, a tall and thin figure flashed into the hall. His speed was swift, and there wasn't the slightest fluctuation of emotion on his handsome face. Shockingly, it was Fei Run. Although Di Qing was cunning, Fei Run was not worried that Di Qing would run away. Ever since he had stepped onto the martial path, there had never been an enemy who could escape from his hands, not to mention Di Qing, who was only at the Middle Union Stage 3. He could destroy Di Qing with a flip of his hand. Who are you, Your Excellency? I remember that our Axe Gang doesn't seem to have any grudges or disputes with Your Excellency. Seeing that Fei Ren's face was very unfamiliar, Di Qing's mind immediately trembled. Then, he narrowed his eyes and said, "This kid shouldn't be a genius of the younger generation of some great sect or family." Di Qing thought in his heart. He could not calm down. He could not see through Fei Ren's strength at all. Moreover, he could easily kill everyone present with his own strength. His cultivation had definitely reached the high star realm level. Their Axe Gang sphere of influence had always been near the Plainfield Town. They rarely came into contact with the genius martial artists of the great sects or families in the outside world. They did not interfere with each other's business. Therefore, Di Qing could not understand why the other party had come kill him. Wen Xionghu is one of your subordinates, right? Unfortunately, he has provoked someone he should not have provoked. As soon as he finished speaking, Fei Ren said indifferently, "Wen Xionghu, that damned bastard. Sure enough, he's causing trouble outside." Hearing this, Di Qing's heart thumped. His face instantly became gloomy. Obviously, he had already understood why the other party had come to kill him. It was most likely that when Xionghu was blind and had provoked Fei Run, this great jinx. "Your Excellency, I think there must be some misunderstanding." At this moment, Di Qing was almost certain that the Fei Run in front of him was a genius from some great sect or family. He immediately grinned and said resentfully, "It seemed that he intended to turn hostility into friendship. There is no misunderstanding. Since you have provoked me, there is no need for your Axe Gang to continue existing." With another cold smile, Fei Ren did not intend to give Di Qing a chance to escape. His figure shot out again. He raised his hand and blasted out a palm of origin power, aiming directly at the heart meridian in the other party's chest. Accompanied by a miserable cry. In the next moment, blood splattered in all directions. However, this blood did not belong to Di Qing. Gang leader. At this moment, a gray-clothed gang member was captured by Di Qing. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Moreover, blood was gushing out of his chest. Obviously, he was being used as a shield by the other party. His aura instantly dropped to the bottom. It was obvious that he would not survive. Bang! Di Qing swung his hand and threw the corpse of the gray-clothed gang member to the side. In the next moment, Di Qing also shouted sternly, "All of you attack. This brat clearly intends to destroy the Axe Gang. If I die, you won't be able to live either." Now that Fei Run had revealed his killing intent, Di Qing knew that he would not be able to escape. Moreover, there were still a few surviving Axe gang members in the hall. Although these minions were not a match for Fei Run, they could slightly obstruct Fei Ren's attack and buy him a chance to escape. Want to run? It's not that simple. Fei Ren also sensed Di Qing's inner thoughts. In the next moment, he stepped on an afterimage and instantly attacked the other party. Golden origin power surged in the palm of his left hand. At the same time, he ruthlessly blasted the other party's chest. Obviously, he had played enough and did not want to waste any more time. Bang! Swish! The golden origin power swept out like an angry dragon and instantly pierced through Di Qing's heart. Blood instantly flowed out, and the other party did not have any strength to resist. His body fell limply to the ground. His eyes were lifeless, and he could not be more dead. Facing Fei Run, who was at the 5th level of the Star Realm, Di Qing did not have any chance to escape. He was dead for sure. The gang leader is dead. Demon. This man is a demon. Run. Di Qing had died a tragic death. At this moment, the air was filled with a pungent smell of blood. Seeing this scene, the surviving Axe gang members in the hall looked terrified. Then, like birds startled by the twang of a bow, they fled in all directions. It was as if a great disaster was about to befall them. None of you can escape. Fei Ren's gaze turned cold as he watched the Axe gang members scatter and flee. The next moment, he disappeared from where he stood. Every time he attacked, blood would splatter into the air. He was like a merciless killing and harvesting machine. Blood and screams filled the air. Complete annihilation. In less than 30 breaths, all the Axe gang members in the hall were killed, including the previous gang leader, Di Qing. Not a single one was left alive. These Axe gang members could be said to be local tyrants in Plainfield Town. Besides bullying the villagers and common people, they had done many immoral things. Therefore, Fei Ren not only killed them to help the villagers of Ox Village avoid future trouble, but also to get rid of evil for the people and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. At this moment, the cold wind was bleak. Fei Ren's thin figure stood quietly in the Axe Gang's hall, where blood flowed like a river. His expression was grave and stern, like a butcher. Chapter 273. Fei Ren, I've taken care of those small fries outside. Stepping into the hall, a strong smell of blood assaulted her senses. Chu Qian saw a gray-robed Fei Ren standing alone, surrounded by corpses. The scene was a mess. Not far away, the corpse of the Axe Gang's leader, Di Qing, was also lying on the ground. It was obvious that the entire gang had been annihilated, and no one was left alive. This guy is really ruthless. At this time, Fei Ren's decisiveness in killing fell into Chu Qian's eyes again. She could not help but secretly rejoice. If he had not helped her back then, even if Su Qianxing, Chu Jiuxing, and the others risked their lives to protect her, she might not have been able to escape the Imperial City and Prince Jean, Chu Wen's hands. To be able to make friends with a rogue cultivator like Fei Ren, to her, was a great fortune. Seeing Chu Qian come in, Fei Ren withdrew his primary power and looked at her. Princess, it's all settled. Before he killed his way into the Axe Gang's lair, he did not act together with them. Instead, he split into 2 groups. In addition to this headquarters, there were many Axe Gang members patrolling the other places. Naturally, these people became ghosts under Chu Qian's sword. Compared to hunting down some small fries, Fei Ren chose to go straight to the root of the problem. He beheaded all the higher-ups of the Axe Gang in one fell swoop. At the same time, it was effortless. After all, these small martial artists of the body refinement realm and middle joint realm were no match for him. They were annihilated with a flip of his hand. Aren't you talking nonsense? It's just a motley crew of body refinement realm. It's useless no matter how many of them there are. Not to mention I, the princess, do it personally. Any martial artist of the 6th level of the middle joint realm can annihilate this group of people. How boring. Pursing her lips, Chu Qian answered Fei Ren's question lightly, as if it was not worth mentioning. What kind of experts can a third-rate force have? If you want to fight to your heart's content, Princess, you can go to those first-rate forces or even the 9 ranks of the great families. However, this is the territory of Dongling Province. If we touch a tiger's butt, we may be chased to the ends of the earth. Grinning, Fei Ren's smile returned to his face. Cut the crap. After glaring at Fei Ren, Chu Qian immediately opened her mouth and spoke in a probing tone. Fei Ren, what do you plan to do next? Now that your injuries have completely recovered, do you still want to return to that remote Ox village? Let's go back and take one last look. By the way, let's tell the village head and the villagers the news that the Axe Gang has been destroyed so that they won't be worried and scared in the future. Instead, what plans do you have, Princess? Changing the topic, Fei Ren immediately asked. These days, she had been following him. Although he had promised Chu Jiuxing that he would take good care of Chu Qian before he died, this was only temporary. Now, they had left the Dacha dynasty and stepped into the Dongling province. At the same time, they had escaped the pursuit of Chu Wan and the others. After this, Fei Ren had already done his best. He could not protect Chu Qian forever, and she was not his wife. Although Chu Qian was quite pretty, Fei Ren's mind was not on romance. There were still many things he had not figured out. The mystery of his parents, the humiliation of the night devil fairy, and the secrets of the dragon sect. I don't have any plans for now. If I have to say, it's to become stronger and take revenge. This princess will not let that old thief Chu Wen go. With her arms crossed, Chu Qian said with determination. Overall, the national strength of Dongling province is much stronger than the Dacha dynasty. Even if Chu Wen broke through to the first level of the Martial Master realm and successfully took over the Dacha dynasty, it is impossible for him to rise quickly in the short term. Princess, if you can join a powerful sect, your chances of taking revenge in the future will be very high. Hearing this, Fei Ren also nodded his head, as if he deeply agreed. Although Chu Qian's talent and comprehension were not weak, if she wanted to become stronger, she would need a large amount of cultivation resources. Among them, primordial stones and elixirs were indispensable. Chu Qian was no longer the princess royal of the past. If she wanted to obtain a large amount of cultivation resources, the only way was to join a sect. After slaughtering the Axe Gang, Fei Ren did not leave immediately. Instead, he let Chu Qian return to Ox Village alone. Obviously, he had other intentions. The corpses of these people can't be wasted. Looking around at the mess and corpses, Fei Ren's eyes lit up. In the next moment, his mind moved slightly and summoned the ancient refining Immortal Cauldron. Refine. Under Fei Ren's control, the refining Immortal Cauldron also emitted a pure light. In an instant, it absorbed all the remaining life essence on the surrounding corpses. Then it slowly flowed into his dantian in his abdomen. With the abundant life essence flowing in, his primordial power cultivation also rose steadily. Crack! In his dantian, a sound like an egg cracking sounded. Fei Ren's primordial power cultivation had finally broken through completely. He had stepped into the high-level 6-star realm. High-level 6-star realm. This trip was worth it. Sensing the abundant energy in his body, Fei Ren's face was filled with joy. Before he had killed his way to the Axe Gang, his origin power cultivation had already reached a critical point. He was only one step away from breaking through. Although the strength of these Axe Gang members was not much, with most of them being at the body refining realm and only Di Qing being at the 3rd stage of the middle unity realm, Di Qing was still able to break through. However, no matter how small a mosquito's leg was, it was still meat. After absorbing and refining the remaining life essence of these 100 martial artist corpses, Fei Ren's primordial power cultivation naturally broke through as he wished. He had stepped into the high-level 6-star realm. After his primordial power cultivation broke through to the high-level 6-star realm, Fei Ren's overall strength also increased greatly. Now, he was not afraid of a half-step martial master. He could even compete with a first-level martial master expert. If he could not win, he could still run. Swoosh! A ball of primordial power flame gushed out of his palm. Fei Run leaped into the sky and left the Axe Gang's nest. Then, a ball of raging fire suddenly appeared on the ground below. In a short while, the entire Axe Gang's nest was devoured and burned to ashes. The former tyrant of Plainfield Town, the only third-rate force, no longer existed. Dongling Province, Ox Village. At the entrance of the village, a gray-robed old man was holding Xiao Hua's hand tightly. Beside him was a calm Chu Qian. It seemed that everyone was waiting for Fei Ren's return. "Grandpa, why isn't Big Brother Fei Ren back yet?" Xiao Hua asked weakly as she turned her head to look at the gray-robed old man with a pair of cute, pitch-black eyes. After these days of interaction, she had gotten used to following Fei Ren around. She seemed to treat him as her own brother. She was afraid that something would happen to Fei Ren. After all, the world of children was very simple. Once you treated her well, she would always follow you. "Miss Chu." Glancing at Chu Qian beside him, the gray-robed old man spoke hesitantly. He seemed to find it strange that Fei Ren had not returned for so long. "Don't worry. It would be strange if something happened to him. He is much more powerful than me." Chu Qian curled her lips and said faintly. Swoosh! Just as everyone was stunned, a stream of light streaked across the sky. The next moment, they saw Fei Ren descending from the sky with an imposing manner. "Big Brother Fei Ren." Seeing that Fei Ren had returned safely, Xiao Hua rushed forward in high spirits. Then, she bumped into his arms with a smile on her face. "Xiao Hua, sorry to keep you waiting. Big Brother is fine." Fei Ren reached out and patted Xiao Hua's head. Then, he looked at the gray-robed old man opposite him. "Village Chief, Miss Chu and I will leave the village tomorrow. Now that the Axe Gang has been destroyed, your village is no longer a threat. Please rest assured. In addition, I have one more thing to tell you." As he spoke, Fei Ren took out a jade slip from the spirit ring on his finger. The next moment, he flicked his finger at the gray-robed old man opposite him. "This is a cultivation method." As soon as his finger touched the jade slip, the gray-robed old man was shocked. The jade slip was very valuable. It recorded a cultivation method, and it seemed to be of a high rank. Chapter 274. Yes, this is the level 5 cultivation method, Black Tortoise's longevity scripture. Slightly nodding his head, Fei Ren opened his mouth to explain. He had obtained this technique from a certain cave in the Hengduan mountain range. Although its grade was not as high as the Dharma Thousand Transformation technique, it was still a top-notch technique that was hard to come by. After mastering it, one would be able to condense a unique black tortoise armor, greatly increasing one's defense. After the continuous improvement of his strength, Fei Ren had given up on the Black Tortoise's longevity scripture and switched to the level 9 cultivation method, Dharma Thousand Transformation skill, which he had obtained from the Pill Tower of the Alchemist Association. Although the cultivation method of the Black Tortoise's longevity scripture had been destroyed, he had already memorized the meridian circulation route and the cultivation method. Therefore, it was not difficult for Fei Ren to make a copy of the cultivation method of the Black Tortoise's longevity scripture. It could be done in a few minutes. Moreover, he had other intentions for giving this cultivation method to the Ox Village's village chief. Although the Axe Gang had been uprooted by Fei Ren and the Ox Village was completely free from the threat, the Xianxing continent was full of martial arts practice. If one wanted to control their own destiny, the only way was to practice martial arts. During the period of seclusion in the Ox Village, Fei Ren had a general understanding of the villagers in the village. Although these villagers were only ordinary people, there were a few with good talent. Even Xiao Hua, who was beside the gray-clothed old man, was the same. As far as martial artists were concerned, the only things that could affect their strength were cultivation techniques, martial arts, various kinds of cultivation resources, and so on. If all the villagers of the Ox Village could practice martial arts, then the overall strength of the village would be greatly improved. Naturally, they wouldn't have to fear the threat of external forces. This was Fei Ren's final consideration. "Fei Ren, you have a level 5 cultivation method, and you want to give it to the villagers of the Ox Village." At this time, seeing Fei Ren casually give away a level 5 cultivation method. Chu Qian, who had been silent for a long time, was also surprised and exclaimed in a low voice. After all, the rarity of a level 5 cultivation technique was well known. Even if she was the royal princess in the past, her cultivation technique was only a level 5 cultivation technique, not a real level 5 cultivation technique. Every level 5 cultivation technique could be sold for a sky-high price on the black market, and it was basically priceless. Fei Ren actually gave away such a valuable cultivation method so casually. This was something that Chu Qian did not dare to believe. The other party was simply too extravagant. Princess, if you like it, I can give you a copy of the Black Tortoise Immortality Scripture. However, the atmospheric morality technique that you practice is also a quasi-grade 5 cultivation method. If you switch to the Black Tortoise Longevity Scripture, although your strength will increase slightly, it will not be so obvious. Sensing Chu Qian's fiery and shocked gaze, Fei Ren immediately grinned and secretly transmitted his voice. Forget it, I really don't know what medicine you have in your gourd. A man's wealth is his own ruin. If you give this level 5 cultivation method to them, it may not be a good thing for these villagers if some of the sects and factions within Dongling province know about it in the future. Facing Fei Ren's ridicule, Chu Qian only frowned slightly. Then, she pursed her lips and also transmitted her voice back. The martial path has always been about fighting for one's life and luck. Giving it a try now is better than doing nothing in the future and being trampled on by others. Similarly understanding Chu Qian's inner thoughts, Fei Ren did not refute and said meaningfully. This time, imparting the cultivation method was his intention. If the Ox Village's village chief insisted on not accepting it, he would not force it. Little brother Fei Ren, this gift and kindness is not something that I and the villagers of Ox Village can accept. As expected, seeing Fei Ren casually give away a level 5 cultivation method, the gray-clothed old man in front of him was extremely shocked and fearful. After all, when he was young, he was also a martial artist. Although his cultivation was not high and was only at the 8th level of the body refinement realm, he also knew the value of a level 5 cultivation method. If some factions in Dongling province knew that Ox Village had a level 5 cultivation method, it would definitely cause a bloody storm and turmoil. At that time, the entire Ox Village would not be spared and might even be destroyed. Therefore, the gray-clothed old man in front of him was extremely hesitant. Village Chief, I think you also know that Little Blossom's talent is not bad and can be considered a good seedling for martial arts. Therefore, I do not wish to waste her cultivation talent. However, if you insist on doing so, I will not force you. Fei Ren once again glanced at the gray-clothed old man. Immediately, he rubbed Little Blossom's head beside him with a gentle expression. Little Blossom was still young and did not know what origin power was and what a martial artist was. However, for a 6 or 7-year-old little girl, it was not too late to start cultivating origin power now. Moreover, as long as the cultivation method was strong, even if the cultivation resources were insufficient, it would not be a problem for her to step into the Middle Unity realm in the future. 'Tis fine. If we don't fight, Ox Village will be bullied for generations. Little Blossom quickly thanked Big Brother. Hearing this, the gray-clothed old man also sighed and then nodded heavily, as if tacitly agreeing with Fei Ren's words. After all, he was also a martial artist at the 8th level of the body refinement realm. With a level 5 cultivation method in front of him, it was impossible to say that there was no temptation. Moreover, as Little Blossom's grandfather, the gray-clothed old man naturally hoped that his descendant could become strong and control her own destiny. Thank you, Big Brother Fei Ren. At the side, although Little Blossom did not understand what the two were talking about, she still nodded obediently and then said to Fei Ren, "You're really generous. I don't see you giving me anything." Seeing this scene, Chu Qian bit her lips and then muttered to herself. She seemed to be a little tempted. "Princess, don't worry. Before I leave, I also have something to give you. Moreover, its value is not lower than the Black Tortoise Longevity Scripture. As if sensing her small complaint, Fei Ren immediately turned his head and grinned at the same time. "What is it?" Hearing this, Chu Qian's curiosity increased greatly. Its value was not lower than the Black Tortoise longevity scripture. Could be a level 5 martial art or even medicinal pill. In her opinion, Fei Ren was just a rogue cultivator and should not have such a good treasure. Cold ice stone. In the next moment, a white light flashed between Fei Ren's fingers. Then he took out a pure white, sparkling, and translucent spirit stone from the spirit ring. At this moment, it was emitting a biting cold aura, causing people to shiver. Even the temperature in the air dropped a little. Seeing Fei Ren take out a spirit stone emitting a biting cold aura from the spirit ring, Chu Qian's pretty face was immediately stunned. Her eyes were filled with surprise. Although it was just a simple glance, she could sense that the cold ice stone in the other party's hand was extraordinary. It was priceless and definitely not an ordinary item. This cold ice stone can not only increase a martial artist's cultivation speed, but it can also assist in the cultivation of certain ice-type martial arts and martial arts. The efficiency will increase by more than a few times. In addition, the cold aura contained within the cold ice stone can also temporarily delay aging and maintain one's appearance. Holding the cold ice stone tightly in his hand, Fei Ren explained in the next moment. He had obtained this cold ice stone from the ancient ruins in the northern wilderness county. Its original owner was Zhang Qingyang, a martial arts expert under the dragon sect. Other than the cold ice stone, the other party had left behind the green dragon halberd and the movement martial art, flying heaven and earth burrowing technique. However, compared to the green dragon halberd and flying heaven and earth burrowing technique, the cold ice stone was not as useful to Fei Ren. Hence, he did not mind giving it to Chu Qian. Chapter 275. It's so cold. Chu Qian extended her hand and gently received the cold ice stone. The next moment, she also exclaimed softly. This cold ice stone contained a large amount of spirit energy. Just as Fei Ren had said, not only could it slightly increase a warrior's cultivation speed, but could also strengthen a certain special ice-type martial art and cultivation method. It was indeed one of the rare spirit treasures. Fei Ren, are you really going to give this cold ice stone to me? Chu Qian once again spoke after circulating the essence power in her palm and slightly neutralizing the temperature of the cold ice stone. Although she was not clear about the specific grade of this cold ice stone, its value was definitely not inferior to a 4th grade spirit treasure. After all, a spirit treasure that could increase a warrior's cultivation speed was definitely priceless in the outside world. It was extremely rare, and there might not even be a few in the entire Dacha dynasty. Even Chu Qian, the former eldest princess of the great Chu royal family, who was doted on by her father, Chu Tianyang, only had a few 1st-grade spirit treasures that could calm one's mind. She had never seen a rare spirit treasure like the cold ice stone that could increase a warrior's cultivation speed. Take it. Compared to me, you're more suitable for this thing. Seeing Chu Qian holding the cold ice stone tightly in her hand with a hesitant look, Fei Ren immediately grinned and said, Indeed, although the cold ice stone could increase a warrior's cultivation speed, he already cultivated the 9th grade cultivation method, Dharma 1000 transformation technique. In his dantian, he also had the Immortal refining divine cauldron, a treasure of the immortal path. Compared to the previous two, the value of this cold ice stone was almost negligible. Therefore, Fei Ren did not mind giving it to Chu Qian. After all, the two of them would go their separate ways after tomorrow. This could be considered his final parting gift to Chu Qian. With this cold ice stone, the other party would have a greater chance of becoming stronger and taking revenge on Chu when in the future. Okay, Fei Ren, no matter what, thank you. Chu Qian's beautiful eyes flickered. When she saw Fei Ren's calm and composed expression, Chu Qian immediately stopped refusing and pouted. Her cultivation talent and comprehension were not weak. Now that she had a cold ice stone in her hands, it would not be a problem for her to step into the half-step martial mentor realm in the future if nothing unexpected happened. As for whether she could break through to the first level of the martial mentor realm, kill her former enemy Chu Wan, and revive the great Chu imperial family, it all depended on luck and fortune. For Ox Village to be able to meet these two people, it is really a great fortune accumulated over 100 years. The gray-clothed old man thought to himself as he looked at Fei Run and Chu Qian. At the same time, his skinny hand held Xiao Hua tightly as he sighed emotionally. One day later, at the entrance of Ox Village, Fei Run, "Are you going to the southeast region?" Before leaving, just as Fei Run was about to take a step, Chu Qian, who was standing behind him, bit her lips and suddenly said, although she knew that it was impossible to persuade Fei Run to stay, the two of them were going to part ways from now on. She actually felt a trace of reluctance in her heart. After all, the other party was a companion who had gone through life and death with her. The two of them had also fought their way out of the imperial city and experienced the test of blood and fire. Yes, although the Dongling province is stronger than the Dacha dynasty, it is limited to this. Only by going to the wider southeast region can my strength become stronger. Moreover, there are still some things and mysteries waiting for me to uncover. I can't stay in the countries around the Hungduan mountain range. Princess, you and I are different, Fei Ren nodded. He had planned to leave the Chu dynasty from the very beginning. If it weren't for the sudden turmoil in the Chu imperial city, he wouldn't have been delayed for so long. At the same time, he coincidentally came to the territory of the East Spirit Kingdom. All right, I wish you a safe journey. However, I won't leave here. I want to stay in Dongling province and join the Heaven Sword sect. Chu Qian pursed her lips again as her face turned slightly red. She then slowly spoke as if she no longer hesitated. After all, with her strength, even if she had the cold eye stone to help her cultivate, it would not be easy to take revenge on Chu Wan in the future. She could only join a powerful sect. The overall strength of the Dongling province was stronger than the Dacha dynasty. As for the Heaven Sword sect that controlled Dongling province, it was the same. Although the great Chu imperial family was powerful in the past, it was only a quasi-8th rank sect. Their top battle strength was only Chu Tianyang, who was a half-step martial master. However, the overlord of the East Spirit country, the Sky Sword sect, was a genuine 8th grade sect. The current sect master of the Sky Sword sect was a martial arts expert who had stepped into the martial mentor realm. His strength was much stronger than Chu Wan, who had just broken through to the first level of the martial mentor realm. Apart from that, the Heaven Sword sect did not only have one martial master expert, but three martial master experts. This battle strength was enough to destroy a weak country's dynasty. This was also the reason why the Dacha dynasty had been suppressed by Dongling province for many years. The difference in the battle strength of the top higher-ups was too great. However, even so, the strength of the lower and middle ranks of the Dacha dynasty was not bad. If hundreds and thousands of middle and high realm martial artists swarmed up, even a martial master expert would be threatened. After all, the dantian of a martial artist was limited and not endless. This was also the reason why Dongling province was not able to destroy the Dacha dynasty and was only able to suppress them. The Heaven Sword sect is the overlord of Dongling province. If you join them, it will be of great help. Moreover, with your talent and comprehension, you will definitely be able to obtain a lot of cultivation resources. You might even be able to cultivate the unique martial arts of the Heaven Sword sect. Fei Run was naturally very clear about the powerful background of the Heaven Sword sect. He pondered for a moment and touched his chin. If Chu Qian joined the Heaven Sword sect, it would be a wise choice. After all, the Heaven Sword sect had 3 martial master experts. Their battle strength was several times stronger than Chu Wen's. Even if Chu Wen wanted to eliminate the root of the problem, he would never dare to provoke the Heaven Sword sect, the overlord of Dongling province. This is what this lady thinks. Now that I've decided to join the Heaven Sword sect, Fei Run, you don't have to call me princess anymore. The former great Chu princess is no longer here. My name is Chu Qian now. Chu Qian's expression changed as she reached out to stroke her hair. Then, she smiled faintly as if she had decided to completely let go of her past identity as a princess. Her bright eyes flickered with determination. The Heavenly Sword sect recruited new disciples every 3 years, and the most recent batch was less than half a year away. Chu Qian had just reached adulthood and was not much older than Fei Ren. However, her origin power cultivation had already reached the 5th level of the Star Realm. Her innate talent and comprehension were enough to place her in the upper middle class among the many disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect. Therefore, Chu Qian was very confident about joining the Heaven Sword sect. Young Lady Chu, if fate wills it, we should be able to meet again in the future. Farewell. Seeing this scene, Fei Ren also understood that she had made up her mind. He immediately cupped his fists. In the next moment, a pair of origin power wings appeared behind him. He soared into the sky like an eagle soaring in the sky. In the end, his figure gradually disappeared into the clouds. Chapter 276. Fei Ren, I also hope that there will be such a day. Looking up at the sky and watching Fei Ren's figure gradually disappear into the clouds, Chu Qian's hands under her skirt quietly clenched as her beautiful eyes flashed. Become stronger and take revenge. This was the only thought in her mind at the moment. Moreover, Chu Qian also knew that she was still too weak. If she did not work hard to become stronger, in the future, not to mention taking revenge on Chu Wan and reviving the former great Chu royal family, even the gap between her and Fei Ren's strength will become bigger and bigger until they became strangers. As the former great Chu royal princess, although she had now been reduced to an ordinary rogue cultivator and lost her former noble status, the pride and stubbornness in Chu Qian's heart still did not change. She was not willing to fall behind anyone. Swoosh! Her figure also flashed, and in the next moment, Chu Qian also turned and left the Ox village, turning into a beautiful figure that rushed to the outside world at a very fast speed. At this time, not far from the Ox village's entrance. Grandfather, do you think Big Brother Fei Ren and Big Sister Chu Qian will come back? Looking at Fei Ren and Chu Qian, who left one after another, Xiaohua was also holding the low-grade primordial stone that Fei Ren gave her tightly in her hand. At the same time, she stared at the gray-clothed old man beside her with a pair of big eyes. Although the time she spent with the two of them was not long, this relationship was not shallow. Grandfather also doesn't know, but when Xiaohua becomes a martial artist in the future, maybe you will meet them again. Facing Xiaohua's pair of innocent eyes, the gray-clothed old man did not know what to say at the moment. He just patted the other's head and smiled faintly. Before Fei Ren left, he left a level 5 cultivation method, Black Tortoise Longevity Scripture, and also pointed out that Xiaohua's talent was not bad and that she was a good seedling to cultivate primordial qi. Therefore, the gray-clothed old man naturally understood the other party's intention. When Xiaohua cultivated primordial qi and stepped into the martial way, the other's achievements in the future would naturally be far beyond this old man. After all, the power of a level 5 cultivation method was not an undeserved reputation. Even if it was a trash with low comprehension, as long as he mastered a level 5 cultivation method, he would at least become a middle joint realm martial artist in the future. Good. Little Flower will work hard and become a powerful martial artist in the future. Seeing the anticipation in the gray-clothed old man's eyes, Flowery nodded her head sensibly. Although she didn't know what elemental energy and cultivation methods were, she also knew that martial artists were much more powerful than ordinary people. For example, when Fei Ren left earlier, he leaped into the sky like a bird. This was not something that the ordinary villagers of Ox Village could do. Even the gray-robed old man in front of her grandfather could not do it. At the same time, in the Black Star continent, somewhere in the Heaven Saint Imperial Court, tick-tock, tick-tock, in a quiet cave, the cold stone milk turned into dew and then slowly dripped onto a half-naked black-haired young man. The black-haired young man's eyes were closed, and his face was a little pale. At the same time, there were clear and terrifying wounds on his strong and muscular body. It seemed that his injuries were not light. Damn it! I didn't expect that white-haired old man to be in Emperor realm. This time I was careless. As if recalling something, the black-haired young man suddenly opened his eyes. There was a trace of gloominess on his pale face. It seemed that the anger in his heart was not small. If it weren't for the restriction of a universe's heavenly Tao law, I wouldn't be able to fully exert the strength of an Earth immortal. What can an Emperor realm martial artist of this small, low-level continent do to me? Just you wait. When my injuries are healed, I will definitely turn this bullshit Heaven Saint Empire upside down and completely destroy it. The black-haired young man clenched his fists. At this time, there was a trace of ruthlessness and brutality in his eyes. His name was Tao Qian. He was originally an Earth immortal under the heaven-reaching immortal emperor in the immortal world. This time, he was under the orders of the heaven-reaching immortal emperor to go to the Black Star continent in the human world to find the divine immortal Cauldron and bring it back to the immortal world. However, things did not go as planned. After Tao Qian came to the Black Star continent, he did not immediately inquire about the divine immortal Cauldron. After all, although the Black Star continent was only a low-level continent, there were billions of living beings of the human race and 100 races living there. It was easy to imagine how difficult it would be to find the divine immortal Cauldron. Moreover, because the Black Star continent was only a low-level continent among the many continents in the human world, it was bound by the universe's heavenly Tao law. Even if the immortals of the immortal world came to the human world, they could not break the universe's heavenly Tao law. Their strength would be forcibly suppressed. As for Tao Qian, his strength was the legendary Earth immortal realm. He was one of the many immortals in the immortal world. At the same time, he was also the right-hand man of the heaven-reaching immortal emperor. Although the strength of an Earth immortal was not as strong as a golden immortal, it was much stronger than the warriors of the Black Star continent. For example, the Emperor realm giants of the Black Star continent were powerless in the face of an Earth immortal like Tao Qian. They would be killed with a flip of the hand. However, Tao Qian was currently in the Xian Xing continent of the mortal world and could not resist the heavenly Tao of the universe. Therefore, he could not fully exert the strength of an earthly immortal realm expert. That was why he was careless and injured in the battle with the human experts of the Heaven Saint Emperor dynasty. In the end, he had to flee in a sorry state. Although Tao Qian's strength had not recovered to the Earth immortal realm, he was far stronger than ordinary great emperors. If it weren't for some of the older great emperors of the continent, ordinary great emperors would be killed by him. This was why he dared to say that he would destroy the Tianxing dynasty. All of this came from his confidence in his strength. After all, the heaven-reaching emperor dynasty was one of the ancient forces of the Black Star continent with a long history. Its foundation and prestige were not inferior to the heavenly dragon sect. The current emperor of the heaven-reaching emperor dynasty, Zhu Hongwu, was also an emperor realm warrior. The heaven-reaching emperor dynasty, the refining of the divine cauldron, Tao Qian, will definitely take care of it. I will not let the immortal emperor down. Thinking of this, the madness in Tao Qian's eyes intensified. In the next moment, he changed his hand seals again. Even the recovery of his injuries was greatly accelerated. Black Star Continent, Southeast Region. After nearly half a month of traveling, Faerun finally left the territory of the several countries around the Hengduan mountain range and stepped into the Southeast Region. Compared to the several countries around the Hengduan mountain range, the Southeast Region was more vast and boundless. The Southeast Region was located in the east of the Black Star Continent, across the vast, endless sea. There were countless dynasties, and each of them had a strong foundation. There was no lack of 6th or 7th grade sects and top dynasties. Compared to these forces, the Dachu dynasty and Dongling province were just small local forces in a corner of the Southeast region. Moreover, it was a small piece of land and was not considered a big deal. In front of a cliff, Fei Ren was wearing a gray robe and carrying a huge sharp green dragon halberd on his back. At this moment, he was looking at the horizon not far away. Finally, his gaze fell on a vast expanse of yellow sand, and his eyes were deep in thought. Chapter 277. The Khadr Desert. It was a well-known large desert in the southeast region. Not only was it vast, but it also stretched as far as the eye could see. It was as if the entire world was shrouded in yellow sand and strong winds. It was also one of the few natural ravines in the southeast region. It was even more vast than the Hungduan Mountains where the Dacha dynasty and Dongling province were located. Now, Faerun had arrived at the edge of the Khadr Desert. As long as he took another step forward, he would step into the vast yellow sand and be completely isolated from the outside world. The reason why the Khadr Desert was famous in the martial arts world of the entire southeast region was that it was a natural barrier and had many unique desert magical beasts and desert tribes of various sizes. Most of these desert magical beasts ate their own kind, but there were also a few desert magical beasts that specialized in hunting human martial artists. Moreover, these desert magical beasts were essentially no different from ordinary magical beasts. They all had exclusive magic cores in their bodies and used magic power to fight and hunt. Therefore, every independent martial artist and caravan that traveled to and from the Khadr Desert would be extra careful. They were always on guard against sudden attacks from underground. After all, these desert magical beasts were very ferocious. Although their intelligence was not as good as human martial artists, they were no different from ordinary magical beasts. They would never be polite to human martial artists who stepped into their territory. Even some high-star realm cultivators who weren't weak usually wouldn't cross the Khadr Desert alone. Instead, they would travel in groups because it was extremely risky to cross the desert alone. If they weren't careful, they could become food for the desert demonic beasts. Most of these desert demonic beasts lived in groups, except for a few that lived alone. Moreover, they usually hid deep in the vast yellow sand. Unless one flew through the desert, there was a high chance that rogue cultivators and caravans would be attacked by them and fall into a dangerous situation. After passing through the Khadr Desert, I should be able to step into the Great Ming Dynasty's territory. Thinking of this, Faerun also collected his thoughts. A trace of determination flashed in his eyes. Although the Khadr Desert in front of him was very dangerous, he had a reason to cross it, because as long as he crossed the Khadr Desert, he would officially step into the Great Ming Dynasty's territory. From then on, he would be free to swim in the vast sea and fly in the vast sky. The Great Ming Dynasty. It was the only dynasty in the southeastern region, and at the same time, it was also an overlord-level power. Its status was like the sun in the midday sky. In the territory of the Great Ming Empire, apart from the many sects, clans, and forces, there were also many small empires and countries similar to the Dacha dynasty. These small empires and countries were far inferior to the Great Ming Empire in terms of foundation and strength. In terms of status, they were also vassal states of the Great Ming Empire and had to pay tribute to the Great Ming Empire every year. For example, the original Chu clan and even the overlord of Dongling province, the Heaven Sword sect, were the same. These forces still didn't dare to be impudent in front of the Great Ming Dynasty. Every year, the Great Ming Dynasty would mine large amounts of primordial stones from the primordial stone mines occupied by their respective countries as offerings. Other than that, the ruler of the Great Ming Dynasty, the current Great Ming imperial family, the Yi clan, was also a true fifth-rank clan. The Yi clan had a strong foundation. Even if more than a dozen small empires and even the 6th and 7th rank sects joined forces to resist, they were still no match for the Yi clan. Legend had it that even a small guard of the Yi clan, who wasn't a direct descendant of the Great Ming imperial family, had a cultivation base that was far superior to the martial master realm and had even reached the legendary martial spirit realm. They were extremely powerful. It was precisely because of the Great Ming Empire's strong foundation, prosperous martial arts civilization, and numerous martial experts that Faerun came here to train. After all, if he stayed in the 5 countries around the Hungduan mountain range for his entire life, it would be impossible for him to become stronger. Similarly, he wouldn't know the secrets of his parents and the dragon sect. Moreover, The Night Demon Fairy who massacred the Iron Palm sect in the past wasn't a martial artist from the 5 countries around the Hungduan mountain range. In order to avenge the humiliation of the past, Fei Run had to find the Night Demon Fairy and defeat her on the spot. He had to completely eliminate the inner demons of martial arts that he had left behind. Swoosh! After making up his mind, Fei Run also leaped and flew toward the Katar Desert not far away. Although his cultivation base had broken through to the 6th level of the Star Realm, he was still very far from the Martial Master Realm. Moreover, using the Great Flying Technique frequently to fly consumed a lot of his origin energy. Therefore, Fei Run planned to cross the desert on foot. With his current strength, as long as he didn't encounter a Martial Master Realm expert or a spirit-level demonic beast, Fei Run wouldn't be afraid of the rest. He could easily kill them. With a series of trump cards, such as the refining Immortal Cauldron, the Green Dragon Halberd, and the 8 Trigrams flag, Fei Run now had the strength and confidence. Even if he encountered a rare attack from the desert beasts, he could use the Great Flying Technique to escape. It would be very difficult for someone to kill him. Whoosh! 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 Fei Run's footsteps were like afterimages as he shot towards the distance like an arrow that had been shot out by a strong gust of wind. With his current speed, it would take him at most 3 days to cross the Katar Desert. At the same time, he would step into Black Rock City, an important city at the border of the Great Ming Dynasty. Fei Run had his own considerations when he went to Black Rock City. Black Rock City was one of the many important cities of the Great Ming Dynasty. There were many different forces in the city. At the same time, there were many martial Dao experts. Its prosperity was several times more prosperous than the Great Chu Imperial City. It was very suitable for him, who had just arrived in the southeast region. Suddenly, just as Fei Run was hurrying along, the originally calm, yellow sand suddenly changed. In the next moment, a black shadow instantly rushed out from the yellow sand, bringing with it a sharp screech, and fiercely pounced on his right foot at lightning speed. Bang! In an instant, facing the sudden attack from below, Fei Run reacted quickly. He immediately moved to the side. At the same time, he flipped his hand and blasted out a palm force condensed from golden origin energy. The golden palm force was vigorous and powerful. Then, it hit the unfamiliar black shadow hard, and a dull sound was heard. Hiss! Hiss! After the attack, Fei Run's body also slowly landed on a sand dune behind him. He squinted his eyes and saw that the ground he was originally standing on had collapsed into a pit. And in the pit, there was a huge black poisonous snake. The huge poisonous snake was completely black. However, there was a green pattern in the middle of its back. It looked very strange. It seemed to be some kind of desert magical beast. At this moment, it was spitting out its long snake tongue. Its snake eyes were cold. It was also staring at Fei Run, who was not far away, as if it had already seen him as a delicious prey. Desert magical beast? This bastard thinks that I am a delicacy in its mouth. However, it is not certain who will eat who. The corners of Fei Run's mouth curled up when he sensed the cruelty and murderous intent in the large poisonous snake's cold eyes. He naturally had his own reasons for daring to venture into the Katar Desert alone. It was simply a fantasy for this desert magical beast to want to kill him. Chapter 278. The desert demonic beast in front of him was called a green striped red snake. This snake got its name from the obvious green stripe in the middle of its back. Although it had a black and ugly appearance, the demonic power inside its body couldn't be underestimated. An adult green striped red snake was at least a top-notch, profound, ranked demonic beast. It was comparable to a 10th level Star Realm human cultivator. In addition, the green striped red snake's body was covered with thick snake scales, giving it a good defense. Moreover, the pair of sharp poisonous fangs in its mouth was a lethal weapon. It could spray highly dissolving, highly toxic liquid. With the help of the desert's terrain, it was difficult for ordinary warriors to react and dodge. In the face of the green striped red snake's poisonous fangs, warriors below the Star Realm would definitely die if they touched them. Even their protective origin energy would not be able to withstand it. In an instant, they would be dissolved by the highly toxic liquid and turn into a pool of blood. In addition, the green-striped red snake was very cruel. Not only was it good at sneak attacks, but it also lived deep under the yellow sand. Therefore, the green-striped red snake was feared by the independent warriors and caravans that came and went in the Qatar desert. Fortunately, the green-striped red snake was one of the more common desert demonic beasts in the Qatar desert. Most warriors had some experience dealing with this kind of desert demonic beast, and Fei Ren was the same. His current strength was enough to kill a half-step marshalman expert. Moreover, the green-striped red snake's demonic power was not very strong. It was only at the top of the profound rank. Moreover, the demonic power on this green-striped red snake was unstable. It was much weaker than other profound rank demonic beasts, as if it had just molted and evolved. You're unlucky to have bumped into me. Today I'll eat snake meat soup. Strands of golden yuan power suddenly gushed out from Fei Ren's body. In the next moment, Fei Ren's feet also fiercely stomped on the ground. At the same time, his entire body pounced towards the jade-striped, red, refined snake not far away. He raised his hand, and a palm force condensed from yuan power gushed out like a gale. Now, as his strength continued to increase, the five-mountain king capturing Palm had been abandoned by him. However, Fei Ren's understanding of martial arts had become increasingly profound. Now, although each of his moves and styles looked ordinary, the martial arts attainments contained within them were extraordinary. Therefore, the power of Fei Ren's casual palm was naturally extraordinary. It was comparable to a real rank 5 martial art. Seeing Fei Ren launch a counterattack, this jade-striped red refined snake was also very alert and cunning. It immediately opened its mouth and sprayed a ball of pitch-black venom at Fei Ren. At the same time, the snake nimbly twisted its body and instantly burrowed into the yellow sand under its feet, as if it did not intend to fight head-on with the opponent. Although the intelligence of the jade-patterned scarlet snake was not comparable to an ordinary human martial artist, the natural instinct of a magical beast to prey on the weak stimulated it. When it sensed that Fei Ren's extraordinary yuan power fluctuations were enough to threaten its life, it immediately hid and avoided the battle. Boom! The golden palm energy traversed the sky and then fiercely bombarded the yellow sand ground not far away. In an instant, a burst of yellow sand filled the sky. The place where the green-striped, red, refined snake was left with a bottomless pit, and the surrounding yellow sand flowed away. What a cunning beast! Its speed is not bad. Fei Ren's figure soared into the sky and instantly dodged the venom that the jade-striped, red, refined snake spat out. In the next moment, he narrowed his eyes. Although the jade-striped, red, refined snake that sneak attacked him did not have a strong magical energy fluctuation and was only at the peak of the profound rank, its speed was top-notch. It was not inferior to ordinary human martial artists who were half a step into the martial master realm. Moreover, Fei Ren's powerful palm was nimbly dodged by the opponent. Huff! Huff! The surrounding yellow sand whistled, and Fei Ren, who was in the sky, had no intention of continuing to attack. His figure quietly floated in the air, and in the next moment he actually slowly closed his eyes. At the same time, his body flashed with a golden light, like a dazzling sun. Indeed, if the jade-striped, red, refined snake hiding under the yellow sand did not take the initiative to appear, it would be difficult for ordinary martial artists to kill it. However, Fei Ren was not an ordinary martial artist. He cultivated the Level 9 Dharma 1000 transformation technique. This technique was not only beneficial to the cultivation of magical energy and mental energy, but it could also greatly increase a martial artist's perception. Now that Fei Ren had cultivated the Dharma 1000 transformation technique to the small success realm, whether it was his attack or perception, it would increase by several times. Even if the jade-striped, red, refined snake in front of him was covered by layers of yellow sand, It could not dodge his attack, no matter how fast it was. There was no escape. Over there, after a few breaths, Fei Run, who was in the sky, suddenly opened his eyes. In the next moment, a golden light flashed in his right palm and instantly condensed into a sharp golden blade. Then it shot toward a certain area of yellow sand below. Swish! Boom! The golden blade cut through the air, instantly bringing with it an ear-piercing sound. Finally, it fiercely stabbed into the yellow sand, making a dull sound. Hiss! After the loud sound, a large amount of yuan power undulations also exploded. Immediately, a large patch of yellow sand was overturned, and dust filled the sky. Soon after, a mournful roar also followed one after another, piercing one's eardrums. At this moment, the jade-striped, red, refined snake, which was originally hiding under the vast yellow sand, also appeared. More than half of the thick snake scales at the 7th inch of its body were broken at the same time, and a large amount of blood dripped from it. The wound was terrible, as if Fei Rin's attack had hit its vital point, and it could no longer hide its body. Hiss! At this time, the jade-striped, red, refined snake, which was severely injured by Fei Rin's attack, also felt a fatal threat. It knew that it was not a match for the opponent, and immediately let out a mournful hiss. In the next moment, the slender snake twisted its body again, and without caring about the serious injuries on its body, it planned to dive into the yellow sand again and escape this place at the same time. This beast still wants to run? Seeing that the jade-striped, red, refined snake was planning to escape, Fei Rin's eyes immediately focused, and at the same time, he once again struck out with his palm. The golden palm energy directly aimed at the jade-striped, red, refined snake below. The attack was as fast as thunder. Generally speaking, as long as a magical beast's rank reached the profound rank or above, its body would definitely produce a magic core. And the jade-striped, red, refined snake in front of him could be said to be a treasure from head to toe. Other than the top profound, rank magic core in its body, its pitch-black snake scales, which were as hard as boulders, were also good materials for forging defensive armors and spirit treasures. Therefore, in the face of this treasure that was delivered to his doorstep, Fei Rin naturally would not let it go so easily. Otherwise, he would suffer a huge loss. Boom! This! In an instant, the golden palm energy cut through the sky, and in the next moment, it fiercely smashed into the jade-striped, red, refined snake's vital point. Immediately, boundless yuan power exploded, and the originally heavily injured jade-striped, red, refined snake was once again injured. It let out a mournful hiss, and in the end, the snake's body powerlessly fell to the ground, completely motionless. Shwa! Fei Rin's figure landed in front of the jade-striped, red, refined snake's corpse, and his left hand gently reached out and immediately took out a dark green circular crystal. It was the magic core of the jade-striped, red, refined snake, and its rank was already at the top of the profound rank. Chapter 279. A top-grade mystic rank demon core, plus this body of snake scales that are as hard as rocks. I made a fortune. It's not a loss. After putting away the green striped red snake's demon core, Fei Rin didn't let go of the other treasures on the snake's body. He immediately took out a sharp knife from the spirit ring on his finger and slowly cut off the snake's scales. At the same time, he put into his bag. Aside from the top-grade mystic rank demon core, this pile of snake scales could be sold for at least 1,000 low-grade origin stones. Although 1,000 low-grade origin stones wasn't a lot, it was enough to buy a dozen third-grade healing pills. After all, excluding the disciples of some sects and clans, an ordinary 6th-level Star Realm rogue cultivator wouldn't have more than 10,000 low-grade origin stones. However, Fei Rin was different from ordinary cultivators of the same level. After his Dantian had merged with the Immortal refining cauldron, the amount of origin stones he needed every time he broke through was several times more than ordinary cultivators of the same level. Naturally, he needed a lot of origin stones. Therefore, his wealth wasn't enough. I'm still too poor. Thinking of this, Feyrin couldn't help but sigh with emotion. There's actually someone? Just as he was about to leave, Feyrin's expression turned suspicious. At the same time, he turned his head to look in the northeast direction of the desert. His eyes were slightly surprised. Just now, he suddenly sensed some movement. It was a very obvious origin chi fluctuation. It wasn't far from here. It seemed to be a caravan of cultivators coming and going from the Katar Desert. After all, the Katar Desert was located at the border of the Great Ming Dynasty. There were quite a few caravans coming and going. However, this was only Feyrin's personal guess. He couldn't be sure. Whoosh! Feyrin pulled off a piece of his sleeve to cover the green dragon halberd behind him. In the next moment, he flew away. The Azure Dragon halberd was a rare rank 5 spirit treasure, which was of great value and power. He didn't want to expose such a precious rank 5 spirit treasure so easily. After all, if a rank 6-star realm cultivator possessed a rare rank 5 spirit treasure, it would inevitably arouse the greed of others. Moreover, this was the first time that Faerun had set foot in the Katar Desert, so he was not clear about the situation here. It would be fine if he met a caravan of warriors, but if he met a desert tribe that had lived in the desert for generations, there might be some trouble. It was rumored that although most of the Katar Desert was covered by yellow sand, there were also some oases. On these oases lived dozens of different desert tribes of various sizes. Moreover, the tribesmen of these desert tribes were extremely hostile to foreign martial artists, even if they were from the Great Ming Dynasty. Usually, they would not allow foreign martial artists to set foot on their territory. In serious cases, fierce conflicts would even break out. As human martial artists, the tribesmen of the desert tribes also cultivated origin power. In addition, their physiques were also very strong. Some of the more powerful tribesmen of the desert tribes could even withstand the impact of high-grade spirit treasures with their bodies and break weapons with their bare hands. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, ordinary martial artists would not clash with the tribesmen of the desert tribes. Instead, they would take the initiative to avoid and take a detour. At the edge of a hill in the Katar Desert, a group of people was moving forward. The group was not large, about a dozen of them. At the same time, they were dragging bundles of goods of various sizes behind them. They seemed to be a caravan that was passing through the desert. Young master, according to this speed, we will be able to cross the desert in less than a day and return to the family. At the back of the group, a guard in tight clothes rode forward on his horse with a sharp, long saber hanging from his waist. At the same time, he looked at a man in green clothes in front of him and cupped his fists. His tone was very respectful, and he was already following the man's lead. "One more day, huh? I hope nothing will happen along the way." After he finished speaking, the man in green clothes in front of the group rubbed his chin with a serious expression. The man in green clothes was called Lin Shuai. He was the young master of the Lin family in Black Rock City of the Ming Dynasty. As for the Lin family, they were one of the 3 major families in Black Rock City. They had a long history and were also a rank 8 family. At the same time, they were on par with the former overlord of Dongling Province, the Sky Sword sect. This time, Lin Shuai was on his father's orders. He led a group of family guards to a small tribe in the Katar Desert to trade with them. At the same time, he also exchanged for some rare materials and minerals to bring back to the family. Although the desert tribes were naturally hostile to martial artists from the outside world, no one would go against their own interests. Therefore, some of the desert tribes in the Katar Desert would trade with martial artists from the outside world and the family sects and forces. At the same time, they would exchange for some daily necessities and refined silk. To the desert tribesmen who had lived in the Katar Desert for generations, daily necessities and refined silk were far more attractive than primordial stones and minerals. After all, these things were not worth much to the desert tribesmen. It was rumored that every desert tribe controlled many primordial stones and other mineral veins. They could mine large amounts of primordial stones and minerals. Therefore, they did not have a high demand for primordial stones and minerals. Therefore, They were more than willing to trade with martial artists from the outside world. Oh no, there's the aura of a demonic beast. At this moment, a Lin family guard with a long spear in his hand suddenly exclaimed in a low voice. At the same time, a trace of vigilance flashed across his eyes. What? Where's the demonic beast? Everyone be alert. Be on the lookout for a demonic beast attack. Just as he finished speaking, the guards around the Lin family caravan and Lin Shuai, who was in front of the group, were stunned. Then, they looked up at the hillside, not far away. The aura of the demonic beast came from there. Rumble, rumble. A huge trembling sound was heard. In the next moment, a red-eyed furry bear with fiery red scales charged towards the direction of the Lin family caravan. In an instant, it was as if the yellow sand under their feet was trembling. The momentum was great. Looking at the red-eyed furry bear charging towards them, one of the Lin family guards widened his eyes. This red-eyed furry bear exuded a strong demonic aura. It was obviously not an ordinary desert demonic beast. Its strength was strong. Oh, so it's a fire spirit bear. Everyone, don't panic. At the side, Lin Shuai's expression was calm. His tone was calm, as if he had already seen through the identity of the demonic beast. The fire spirit bear was a desert demonic beast that lived in the dry areas of the desert all year round. It was cruel and murderous, but its spiritual intelligence was very low. Once it had identified its prey, it would not retreat easily. It was a complete brute. The fire spirit bear in front of them had a strong demonic aura. It had reached the peak of the mystic rank and was in the adult stage. It was very difficult to deal with. However, although the fire spirit bear was not weak, it was not a match for Lin Shuai. The demonic aura on Lin Shuai's body was dense and condensed. He had also reached the 10th level of the Star Realm. Moreover, as the young master of the Lin family, the martial arts and spiritual treasures in his hands were all first class. Dealing with a fire spirit bear that was at the peak of the mystic rank and low in spiritual intelligence was not a problem. It was a piece of cake. Chapter 280. That's right. Young Master is one of the 3 geniuses of Blackrock City. He's at the 10th level of the Star Realm. A fire spirit bear is nothing compared to him. That's right. This beast is courting death. With Young Master's help, we don't have to fear this fire spirit bear. In the face of this aggressive fire spirit bear, the guards of the Lin family were originally a little flustered. However, when they saw Lin Shuai make a move, they immediately regained their confidence. They shouted one after another, and at the same time, they drew out all kinds of weapons from their bodies, looking like they were ready for battle. Evil beast, die! Lin Shuai's eyes narrowed. In the next moment, the steel saber at his waist was unsheathed. Then he slashed out a green saber light condensed from Yuan, leaped toward the fire spirit bear. Whoosh! Bang! In a breath of time, the green blade light also cut through the sky, and like a falling meteor, it heavily smashed onto the fire spirit bear's body. After that, it completely exploded, bringing about a huge wave of Yuan energy that swept out in all directions, even blocking everyone's line of sight. This beast must be dead. Young Master's attack is comparable to a 4th-level martial art. Even a 9th-level Star Realm martial artist wouldn't be able to withstand it. Even if he doesn't die, he'll be severely injured. Lin Shuai put away his saber and stood there calmly. A guard of the Lin clan took the opportunity to flatter him with a smile. In his opinion, even though the fire spirit bear was at the peak of the mystic rank, it was still no match for Lin Shuai, who was at the 10th level of the Star Realm. After all, Lin Shuai was one of the 3 famous geniuses of Blackrock City, and he was also the young master of the Lin family of Blackrock City. Roar! However, just when everyone thought that the fire spirit bear was dead, another shocking roar came from the hill not far away. The fire spirit bear dashed out once again. At the same time, the skin on its body was boiling red, emitting a shockingly high temperature. It seemed that the green blade light that Lin Shuai had slashed out earlier was also evaporated by the high temperature, causing no damage at all. The fiery red scales on the fire spirit bear were still intact. Only an imperceptible saber mark was left on its abdomen. It was as if Lin Shuai's attack had only scratched it and didn't affect it at all. What? The expressions of the surrounding Lin clan guards changed slightly when they saw this. Lin Shuai was the current young master of the Lin clan, and his cultivation was at the 10th level of the Star Realm. However, his attack couldn't even break through the Fire Spirit Bear's defenses. This shocked them greatly. This beast's defense actually increased a lot in an instant. So that's how it is. It's only a step away from becoming a spirit rank magical beast. Realizing that his attack was ineffective against a fire spirit bear, Lin Shuai squinted his eyes and pondered. He seemed to have figured out something. He had only used 50% of his strength in that slash, and it was not his full strength. In addition, the fire spirit bear in front of him was not an ordinary top, profound rank magical beast. The magic fluctuations on its body were incomparably deep, and it was infinitely close to a spirit rank magical beast. Therefore, Lin Shuai's previous attack did not directly kill the fire spirit bear. Instead, it only left a saber mark on its abdomen. Young master, this fire spirit bear's magic fluctuations are very powerful. I estimate that it won't be long before it grows into a true spirit rank magical beast after eating a few more human cultivators. It'll be comparable to a martial master expert among human cultivators. Beside him, a middle-aged Lin family guard stepped forward and said with a solemn expression. This middle-aged man had a waxy yellow face and a tall body. Even the magic fluctuations on his body were stronger than the other Lin clan guards. At this moment, there was a black cloud pattern embroidered on the left side of his chest. He seemed to be the captain of this Lin clan caravan, and his status was second only to Lin Shuai. Qin Gang, you're right. I underestimated this fire spirit bear. However, this beast has not truly grown into a spirit rank magical beast. It's still not my match. Hearing this, Lin Shuai nodded in agreement. At the same time, his face was full of confidence. The middle-aged man next to him was called Qin Gang. He was one of Lin Shuai's confidants, and also the captain of the Lin clan's guards. His cultivation was not weak, and he had already reached the 9th level of the Star Realm. His status in this Lin clan caravan was second only to Lin Shuai, and he led a group of Lin clan guards. Just as Qin Gang had said, although this fire spirit bear's magic fluctuations were powerful, it was still a long way from a true spirit rank magical beast. Therefore, it was not Lin Shuai's match. This beast is giving him face. Everyone, let's attack together. Kill. At this moment, facing the menacing fire spirit bear, the surrounding Lin clan guards were filled with righteous indignation. They channeled their magic and launched an attack. In an instant, arrows were shot out, and the saber radiance and sword aura were endless. In an instant, they all fell toward the fire spirit bear. Rumble, roar. Countless attacks landed on the fire spirit bear's body. This low-intelligence fire spirit bear did not dodge at all and continued to charge toward the Lin clan guards. At the same time, it let out a low and angry roar. After all, it was impossible for it to remain unscathed when facing the attacks of so many Lin clan guards, no matter how strong its defense was. The fire spirit bear's originally indestructible fiery red scales were shattered inch by inch. Boiling hot blood flowed out from within and finally evaporated into the vast yellow sand under its feet. Swoosh! Suddenly, a golden light streaked across the sky like a dazzling golden meteor. It was mixed with an astonishing penetrating power and instantly pierced through the fire spirit bear's huge body. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere. Bang! Rumble! Accompanied by a loud and dull sound, this menacing fire spirit bear finally fell to the ground. It was motionless and completely breathless. It fell. Who is that person? Seeing the fire spirit bear fall to the ground and die, the Lin clan guards were slightly stunned. In the next moment, they all looked at Fei Run, who was not far away. The golden light that killed the fire spirit bear in an instant was from him. Its power was extremely shocking. This kid is so powerful. His strength is not inferior to young masters at all. Qin Gang, who was beside him, also looked at Fei Run, who was not far away. His face was filled with shock. To be able to kill a fire spirit bear at the peak of the mystic rank in an instant, his cultivation base was definitely not weaker than a 10th level Star Realm expert. Moreover, Fei Run was quite young. It was obvious that he had just reached adulthood and was not even 20 years old. To have a 10th level Star Realm cultivation base before the age of 20, Fei Rin could definitely be called a genius even in the 3 great families of Blackrock City. He could even compete with the 3 great geniuses of Blackrock City. My luck is not bad. Another top mystic rank magical beast. Moreover, it is a fire spirit bear that is about to break through to the spirit rank. Ignoring the gazes of the Lin clan guards not far away, Fei Rin slowly withdrew the golden light in his palm. A trace of joy appeared on his handsome face. Chapter 281. The dead fire spirit bear in front of him was the same as the jade-striped red snake that he had killed. They were both desert magical beasts that had reached the peak of the mystic rank. However, this fire spirit bear's magical aura was obviously stronger, and the quality of the magical core in its body was also better. It could be called a quasi-spiritual magical core and was more than enough to refine a grade 5 elixir. Even if it was sold, it could be exchanged for a lot of low-grade primordial stones. Therefore, Fei Ren's face was filled with joy. Moreover, the fire spirit bear's body was full of treasures. Other than the magical core in its body, the scales and bones on its body could be used to refine spiritual treasures and weapons. Its value is not much lower than the jade-striped red snake. My name is Lin Shuai, and I come from the Lin family of Blackrock City. Thank you for helping me this time. May I know your name? At the side, seeing that Fei Rin's attention was all on the fire spirit bear's body, Lin Shuai's eyebrows trembled, and he stepped forward. Just as Qin Gang had predicted, Fei Rin was able to kill the fire spirit bear that was at the peak of the mystic rank and was half a step into the spiritual rank. His strength was definitely not weak, and it was enough to make Lin Shuai respect him. Most importantly, Fei Rin's face was very young. He looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old and had just come of age. To have such a strong cultivation at such a young age, even in Blackrock City, he was definitely a genius that would be roped in by various forces. This person should be a genius from a sect that happened to pass by the Catter Desert. If I can rope him in, perhaps the family's crisis will be resolved. Thinking of this, Lin Shuai's eyes flashed, and he seemed to have a plan in mind. Even though he did not know where Fei Rin had come from, one thing he was certain of was that the other party was not a genius cultivator from around Blackrock City. Furthermore, based on his cultivation level, he was worth recruiting. I am Fei Rin, so you're from the Lin family of Blackrock City. It's an honor to meet you. In the face of Lin Shuai's goodwill, Fei Rin immediately turned around and cupped his hands together. The Lin family was one of the 3 major families in Blackrock City. At the same time, it was also an authentic 8th-rank family with a strong foundation. Blackrock City was an important city closest to the Catter Desert. Warriors and caravans came and went frequently. Fei Rin naturally knew about this. Furthermore, he had already made a plan before heading to the Great Ming Dynasty in the southeastern region. The Blackrock City at the edge of the Catter Desert would be his first stop. Young hero Fei Rin. This young master is our Lin family's young master, Lin Shuai. I am a Lin family's guard captain, Qin Gang. If it wasn't for young hero's help, we might have to spend a lot of effort to deal with this beast. At this time, Qin Gang, who had not spoken for a long time, seemed to have noticed his master's inner thoughts. He also took a step forward and said with a smile. His tone could not help but reveal a trace of flattery. It's just a small matter. You're welcome. Then I'll take the demon core from this fire spiritual bear's corpse. Your Lin family is a dignified 8th-rank family. You shouldn't lack these things, right? Glancing at Qin Gang opposite him, Fei Rin immediately took out a sharp knife from his spirit ring. Then, he quickly removed all the valuable items from the fire spiritual bear's corpse, including the demon core, and threw them into the spirit ring space. His actions were swift. This kid really doesn't treat himself as an outsider. I say, young master and Captain Sheen are too polite to this kid. This fire spiritual bear was clearly heavily injured by us, but in the end, we let him take advantage of it. Yeah, it's still a top mystic rank magical beast. Other than the demon core in its body, the hard scales and bones on its body can be sold for a lot of money. Seeing that Fei Ren was not polite at all as he took all the valuable items from the fire spiritual bear's corpse, the Lin family guards looked at each other. In the next moment, there was a flurry of discussion. A few of them even revealed a trace of dissatisfaction on their faces. What are you doing? Shut up. Don't forget the reason why we left the family this time. Everything is to protect the goods in the convoy. Looking around, Qin Gang's face darkened when he heard these discussions. He then shouted in a low voice. As the captain of the Lin family guards, Qin Gang's words carried a lot of weight, second only to the Lin family's young master, Lin Shuai. After these words came out, the surroundings immediately returned to silence. Not a single Lin family guard dared to say anything. They seemed to be afraid of the other party's prestige. Although the guards of the Lin family were all high-star realm warriors, their cultivations were uneven. The strongest among them was only at the 6th level of the high-star realm, which was the same as Fei Ren. The weakest one was only at the 2nd level of the high-star realm, which was far weaker than Qin Gang, who was at the 9th level of the high-star realm. Brother Fei Ren, I can see that your cultivation level is not weak, but your face is very unfamiliar. You must not be a warrior from around Blackrock City, right? After glancing at Qin Gang and the surrounding Lin family guards, Lin Shuai withdrew his gaze and looked at Fei Ren again with a faint smile. Young Master Lin has good eyesight. I am indeed not a warrior from Blackrock City. I am from the outside world. I came to the Catter Desert this time purely because I was passing by. Without refuting, Fei Ren nodded. This time, he did not come to save people. Instead, he came for the fire spirit bear. He was not a chivalrous philanthropist. However, as the saying went, one does not hit a smiling person. Faced with Lin Shuai and the others' initiative to please him, Fei Ren was also polite on the surface. After all, he had already taken the valuable goods and demon core from the fire spirit bear's corpse. He had gotten a bargain for nothing. Young master, there is no time to lose. We have to hurry back to the family. Qin Gang whispered in Lin Shuai's ear when he saw that Lin Shuai and Fei Ren were chatting happily. The reason why they had left Blackrock City this time was to make a deal with a desert tribe. Now that the deal had been completed, if they could not safely send the goods back to the Lin family, it would be a huge loss for the Lin family if any accidents happen along the way. Inform the brothers to set off immediately. Hearing this, Lin Shuai understood the severity of the matter. He immediately nodded and ordered. At the same time, he turned his gaze and looked at Fei Ren again. Brother Fei Ren, if you don't mind, we can go to Blackrock City together. The Lin family has always been hospitable and will definitely treat you with respect. Then I shall accept your invitation. Faced with Lin Shuai's invitation, Fei Ren did not reject and nodded slightly. Now, it was his first time stepping into the Great Ming Empire's territory. Since it was his first time here, he was not familiar with the situation here. In addition, he was also heading to Blackrock City. It was not a bad thing to be on good terms with the Lin family behind Lin Shuai. After all, the Lin family behind Lin Shuai was not only a rank 8 family, but also one of the 3 great families in Blackrock City. Chapter 282. Just as Fei Ren agreed to go with them, there was a sudden commotion on the hill not far away. Whoosh! Whoosh! Terrifying roars of magical beasts could be heard from afar, accompanied by the sound of iron hooves. In the next moment, the ground beneath everyone's feet shook slightly. The entire Lin family's caravan became alert. Some of the Lin family's guards were shocked and panicked. "Oh no, it's bandits!" Lin Shuai, who was at the front of the caravan, said with a frown. In the Catter Desert, apart from the many magical beasts and desert tribes, the bandits were also quite famous. These bandits were usually the local desert tribesmen. Most of them were quite strong and had strong bodies. It would be very troublesome to be entangled with them. After all, the bandits' goal was very simple. They were like locusts that robbed the passing warriors and caravans of their resources. Apart from that, not all of these bandits were the local desert tribesmen. Some of them were foreign warriors and independent cultivators. Because the Katar Desert was the border of the Great Ming Dynasty, crossing the desert meant entering the Great Ming Dynasty's territory. Hence, there were many warriors and caravans that came and went. Killing and robbing could give them a lot of benefits. Hence, many independent cultivators chose to become bandits in the desert and rob people for a living. The title of bandits was what the foreign warriors called these people. Because of the bandits in the Katar Desert, even an 8th-rank family like the Lin family did not dare to underestimate them. After all, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. It would not be good to be targeted by these bandits. Bandits? They're just a bunch of motley crew. It's a good opportunity to test my current strength. Fei Run, who was at the back of the caravan, was calm. He had also sensed the strange commotion on the hill not far away. However, with his current strength, unless a martial master intervened, ordinary high-level Star Realm warriors could not do anything to him. Hence, he was very calm in the face of the bandits' attack. Moreover, the Lin clan's caravan wasn't weak. Aside from Qin Gang, who was at the 9th level of the Star Realm, Lin Shuai was also at the 10th level of the Star Realm. As one of the 3 geniuses of Blackrock City, Lin Shuai was also a genius who could fight above his level. He was definitely not weaker than a half-step martial mentor. With the help of the Lin family's high star state guards, it wouldn't be a problem as long as the bandits didn't come in a group of several hundred people. Rumble. At this moment, a group of black figures appeared in front of Fei Run and the members of the Lin family's caravan. Good fella, what a grand formation. When the black shadow approached, Fei Run could clearly see that it was a group of nearly 100 bandits. The size of the group was not small, and it was rare even among the many bandits in the Katar Desert. After all, it was considered good for ordinary bandits to have a group of dozens of people. The leader of a bandit group that could gather over 100 people was definitely not weak. Just as Fei Run thought, the leaders of the bandit group were 2 middle-aged men. They were at the front of the group. Both of them were riding huge black-furred wolves, and their origin power cultivation had reached the 10th level of the Star Realm. As for the other bandits, they were riding ordinary magic beasts, gray mane horses, and their cultivations were between the 4th and 5th level of the Star Realm. So many people. Lin Shuai's expression changed slightly when he saw the large number of bandits, and that they were powerful. He frowned slightly. Although his cultivation wasn't weak, and he had Qin Gang by his side to assist him, the number of bandits in this group was not small. There were about 100 of them, and the 2 bandit leaders were also at the 10th level of the Star Realm. On the other hand, they only had a few dozen Lin family guards following them. The difference in strength was not on the same level. Young master, the enemy is coming aggressively. What should we do? On the side, Qin Gang's expression was grave as he watched the group of bandits approach. He looked as if he was facing a great enemy. As the captain of the Lin family's guards, wasn't his first time encountering bandits. Qin Gang had fought with many bandits in the past, but it was very rare for him to encounter over 100 bandits at once. He had to admit that the Lin family's caravan was a little unlucky this time. The 2 middle-aged men are also at the 10th level of the Star Realm. We don't have enough people. Tell our brothers to retreat. Lin Shuai also knew that the difference in strength between the 2 sides was too great, so he immediately gave the order. Retreat! Young master, but what about the goods behind us? We spent a lot of money to exchange for these things from the tribes in the desert. There are many rare materials and minerals among them. Are we going to give them to these bandits just like that? Qin Gang's expression froze when he heard Lin Shuai's words. Then, he said unwillingly, the goods in the caravan behind them weren't priceless, but they were definitely not cheap. They were enough to match the Lin family's income for a few months. Moreover, most of these goods were good materials for refining spiritual treasures, weapons, and elixirs. If they were to just throw them away like that, even with the Lin family's foundation as an 8th-rank family, they would feel the pinch. Therefore, Qin Gang was naturally reluctant to part with them. However, Just as Qin Gang was hesitating, under the leadership of the two bandit leaders, over 100 bandits surrounded the Lin family's caravan in front of them. Suddenly, there was no way for them to get through. The group of bandits circled the Lin family's caravan back and forth. Their eyes were full of mockery, as if they were looking at fish on a chopping board. Leaders, it seems like we're going to be rich. The goods in the caravan are all good materials and minerals. At this moment, a pockmarked young man, riding a magic beast with a gray mane, looked the most proud of himself. He glanced at the Lin family's caravan and finally stopped at the caravan behind Lin Shuai. A flash of light flashed in his eyes, and his eyes were burning with passion. It's over. Faced with the bandits' encirclement, Fei Run was the only one who was still calm and composed. At this moment, the Lin family's caravan looked desperate and terrible, as if a great disaster was about to befall them. 10 against 100. Apart from the two bandit leaders, who were at the 10th level of the Star Realm, the difference in numbers between the two sides was extremely huge. Given the strength of this group of bandits, the Lin family's caravan before them would most likely be wiped out. Ha ha ha. I'm really lucky today. I actually got a bargain for nothing. As soon as the pockmarked young man finished speaking, a middle-aged man in a black robe in the group laughed heartily with joy on his face. He was the leader of this group of bandits, and his subordinates usually called him Big Leader. As for his companion, who was at the 10th level of the Star Realm, he was his twin brother, who was also the second leader of this group of bandits. Chapter 283. Leaders, we are from the Lin family of Black Rock City. This time we are just passing by. I hope that you and your brothers will show mercy and open up a path for us. In the future, the Lin family will definitely send you a generous gift. Although Lin Shuai knew that the other party was not to be trifled with, he did not want to wait for death. He immediately probed with a nervous expression. The Lin family was not only an 8th-rank family, but also one of the 3 great families of Black Rock City. Even some of the desert tribes in the Katter Desert had to give the Lin family some face and did not dare to act rashly. He also hoped to intimidate the other party with this. What bullsh** T Lin family? What does this have to do with our Black Cloud Fortress? Cut the crap. Unload all the goods in the caravan behind you and hand over all the valuables in your spirit rings. If I'm in a good mood, I can spare your lives. Otherwise, die. However, the black-robed, middle-aged man in the lead sneered with a disdainful expression. He obviously did not take Lin Shuai and the others seriously. That's right. The head and second head of our Black Cloud Fortress are both 10th-level Star Realm martial artists. Who do you think you are? Lin family? I've never heard of it. The pockmarked young man by the side also sneered when his voice sounded. The mocking expression on his face became even denser. Although his Yuan Qi cultivation was not high, only around the 5th level of the Star Realm, he was very courageous because of the power of the 2 Black Cloud Stronghold bandit leaders. He was not afraid of Lin Shuai and the others at all. He was like a fox exploiting the might of tiger. Black Cloud Fortress. Everyone in the Lin family caravan became serious after knowing the identity of the other party. Lin Shuai, who was at the front of the caravan, clenched his fists as his expression turned ugly. It was obvious that the other party did not take the Lin family of Black Rock City seriously. Moreover, this group of bandits was from the Black Cloud Fortress. The Black Cloud Fortress was one of the more powerful bandits in the Katter Desert. Not only did they have hundreds of people, but the 2 heads were also 10th-level Star Realm martial artists. Even ordinary 9th-rank forces did not dare to provoke them in case they took revenge. They are really bandits from the Black Cloud Fortress. Now that the head of the family and the head elder are not here, what should we do? Sucking in a breath of cold air, the captain of the guards, Qin Gang, had an ugly look on his face. Although Lin Shuai's essence force cultivation wasn't weak, the 2 Black Cloud stronghold leaders were veteran experts who had been famous for a long time. With Lin Shuai's strength alone, he could at most block one of them, while the other Black Cloud stronghold leader was invincible. As for Qin Gang himself, his cultivation was only at the 9th level of the Star Realm. His strength was several levels lower than Lin Shuai's. Even if he were to fight against the second leader of the Black Cloud Citadel, who was slightly weaker, he wouldn't be a match for him, not to mention the hundreds of bandits who were eyeing the Black Cloud Citadel covetously. With just these Lin family guards, it was impossible to stop the attack of the Black Cloud Citadel bandits, let alone protect the precious goods on the carriage. Brothers, chop these Lin family members into pieces and move all the goods back to the stronghold. Kill. At this moment, the black-robed, middle-aged man in the lead also waved the large saber in his hand. In the next moment, he charged toward Lin Shuai on his Black Wolf. He could see that Lin Shuai was the only 10th-level Star Realm martial artist in the caravan. As for the others, they couldn't even withstand a single blow. Kill. Chop them into pieces. Just as the black-robed, middle-aged man made his move, the surrounding Black Cloud Citadel bandits also seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. They all pulled out their weapons and spiritual treasures and roared as they charged forward with bloodshot eyes. Everyone, listen up. Protect the young master. Facing the attack of the Black Cloud Citadel bandits, the guard Captain Qin Gang's expression changed slightly. He also channeled his essence force and charged toward the black-robed, middle-aged man. Blockhead, your opponent is me. However, an ice-cold Yuan power palm was shot out from a distance and instantly forced Qin Gang's body to retreat. The person who attacked had a fierce expression, and at this moment, the corners of his mouth revealed a trace of a sinister smile. It was the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold. Qin Gang's body fell heavily to the side. In the next moment, his face turned red and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His essence force cultivation was only at the 9th level of the Star Realm. He was no match for the second leader of the Black Cloud Citadel in front of him. He was injured after just one blow. At the same time, the other Lin clan guards were also fighting with the Black Cloud Citadel bandits. Essence force swept out and blood and flesh flew everywhere. From time to time, someone would scream and fall. Most of them were Lin clan guards. After all, the difference in numbers was too great. Not long after, the Lin family guards suffered heavy casualties, leaving only 1 or 2 survivors. On the other hand, the Black Cloud stronghold bandits only lost a dozen or so bandits. Most of the bandits were still aggressive, holding back their strength. Hey, there's a kid here. At the back of the convoy, a Black Cloud Citadel bandit's eyes suddenly lit up. Oof, playing dead won't save you. Go to hell. Seeing that Fei Run was leaning against the convoy with his eyes closed as if everything around him had nothing to do with the world, the Black Cloud Citadel bandit's eyes shone fiercely. He immediately picked up the spear in his hand and stabbed it toward Fei Ren's chest. His face flashed with madness. Swoosh! Just as the spear was about to pierce Fei Ren's chest, Fei Ren's figure strangely disappeared in the next moment. At the same time, he appeared behind the Black Cloud Citadel bandit. Bang! A heavy punch was thrown out. Fei Ren's right fist was mixed with dazzling golden essence force. It instantly pierced through the Black Cloud Citadel bandit's chest. Immediately, blood splattered. The boiling blood mixed with the impurities of the internal organs splattered down and dyed the yellow sand under everyone's feet red. So noisy. You're disturbing your grandfather's sleep. Don't you understand? The essence force turned into flames and evaporated the blood on his fist. In the next moment, Fei Ren lazily stretched his muscles. At the same time, he glanced at the Black Cloud Citadel bandit's corpse from the corner of his eyes. His tone was casual, as if he had just casually dealt with a piece of trash. Bastard, don't be so arrogant. Kill. Seeing that Fei Run had instantly killed a Black Cloud Citadel bandit, the surrounding Black Cloud Citadel bandits were enraged. Immediately, 4 or 5 of them waved the weapons in their hands and pounced towards Fei Ren aggressively. No matter how many flies there are still flies. How annoying, seeing the Black Cloud Citadel bandits charging over. Fei Ren's mouth slightly rose. In the next moment, his right hand once again formed a fist and threw out a punch. Boundless golden essence force immediately burst out and instantly condensed into a roaring golden dragon image. Roar! Ah! 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 The golden dragon's silhouette was vivid and lifelike, and it emitted a wave of heaven-shaking roars. In a single exchange, it blasted the few Black Cloud stronghold bandits flying, causing them to instantly emit endless shrill cries. One of the more unlucky Black Cloud stronghold bandits was even forcefully blasted apart on the spot by the remaining might of the golden dragon's silhouette, turning into a pool of blood, not even leaving behind a corpse. Chapter 284. How is this possible? This brat's strength? Not far away. The second leader of the Black Cloud Citadel glared at Lin Fan as he forced Qin Gang back with another palm strike. In his opinion, Fei Ren was only a level 6 star realm martial artist. His strength was insignificant. However, facing the siege of 5 or 6 high-level star realm bandits, the man was extremely powerful. He killed all the high-level star realm bandits in one move. Such a man was as powerful as a 9th level star realm cultivator. He wasn't any weaker than Qin Gang, the captain of the Lin family's guards. Brat, I've underestimated you. The second leader of the Black Cloud Citadel sneered as he drew his saber and slashed at Fei Ren. Surging origin energy swept out. His aura was terrifying. Right now, Qin Gang had already been heavily injured by him, and Lin Shuai was also entangled with a black-robed middle-aged man, unable to extricate himself. As for the surrounding Lin family guards, they had already suffered heavy casualties, so they had no time to care about Fei Ren. As long as he could get rid of Fei Ren, he would be able to help the middle-aged man in the black robe. By then, even Lin Shuai, one of the 3 geniuses of Black Rock City, would not be able to withstand the joint attack of the 2 leaders of the Black Cloud Citadel. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Brother Fei Ren, watch out, Lin Shuai reminded him when he saw the second leader of the Black Cloud Citadel turn into a black shadow and charge at Fei Ren. Brat from the Lin family, worry about yourself. Black Wind Slash. As soon as Lin Shuai finished speaking, the middle-aged man in the black robe attacked again. A pitch-black saber radiance swept up a gust of wind and slashed at Lin Shuai. The power of the saber radiance was extraordinary. It was not weaker than any level 4 martial arts. Clang! In the blink of an eye, just as the pitch-black blade was about to land on Lin Shuai's body, Lin Shuai stomped his feet on the ground and rolled toward the yellow sand beside him, barely dodging the attack. However, his gorgeous green robe was damaged by the saber radiance. Even his sleeves were torn, and the saber marks were clearly visible. Although both of them were at the 10th level of the Star Realm, the black-robed middle-aged man in front of them was the famous leader of the Black Cloud Stronghold. He was a veteran Star Realm expert. His overall strength was not weaker than a half-step marshalmanner. Thus, even Lin Shuai found it extremely difficult to defeat the black-robed middle-aged man. It would not be easy for him to defeat his opponent. Looks like from today onwards, one of the 3 great geniuses of Black Rock City will be missing. Seeing Lin Shuai evading his attack, the black-robed middle-aged man's face turned cold. He didn't find it strange at all. After all, Lin Shuai was the young master of the Lin clan. Although he was only 27 or 28 years old, Lin Shuai's strength wasn't any weaker than his. If not for the help of the second leader of the Black Cloud Stronghold, his twin brother, this black-robed, middle-aged man's chances of killing Lin Shuai were not very high. At most, he would only have a 50-50 chance. Thus, the black-robed middle-aged man was also biding his time. Now that the captain of the Lin family's guards, Qin Gang, had lost his ability to fight, as long as his younger brother could deal with the sudden appearance of Fei Ren, Lin Shuai would not be able to escape. Although your Black Cloud Stronghold is powerful, our Lin clan is not to be trifled with. I will remember today's score. Although the situation was unfavorable, Lin Shuai didn't fall into a disadvantageous position. A white light flashed from the spirit ring on his finger, and he instantly took out a pale gold longsword. It seemed to be a good quality spirit treasure as the edge of the sword faintly flickered with a cold light. Boom! On the other side, facing the powerful attack of the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold, Fei Ren didn't rush to retaliate. Instead, he constantly used his movement technique to avoid the other party's attacks. Like a nimble swallow, a large amount of yuan power exploded around him, but it didn't hurt him at all. Little bastard, do you dare to fight with me head-on? Another attack missed. At this moment, the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold was enraged as he roared. Although he was entangled with Fei Ren and continuously launched a series of fierce attacks, he couldn't hurt him at all. Moreover, he couldn't even touch the corner of his opponent's clothes. It was as if he had punched a ball of soft cotton with all his strength. This feeling made him feel very uncomfortable. Although Fei Ren's yuan power cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Star Realm, his movement technique was as fast as a flying swallow. It was unpredictable and difficult to see through. Moreover, every step he took left behind afterimages. Unless one's 5 senses were completely suppressed, it would be difficult to determine where Fei Ren's real body was. As a 6th level movement technique, the power of the Great Flying Earth escaping technique was this powerful. Bang! The fierce blade light mixed with yuan power instantly split Fei Ren's body in half. However, it was still an afterimage and slowly dissipated with the wind in the next moment. Warm-up is over. Let me send you on your way. Seeing that the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold had been blinded by anger and that even his attacks had become somewhat chaotic and crazy, Fei Ren finally launched a counterattack. Break! A large amount of golden light suddenly appeared on his arms. In the next moment, Fei Ren's figure flickered and disappeared. He instantly appeared in front of the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold. At the same time, his hands formed into fists and blasted out. The shadow of a Dharma martial monk also appeared behind him. This punch was comprehended by Fei Ren through cultivating the Dharma 1000 transformation technique. It could be considered a martial art that he had comprehended on his own, so he called it the Dharma Fist. Although his mastery of the Dharma 1000 transformation technique was only at the initial stage, the power of this Dharma Fist was comparable to a 5th level martial art. Bang! Poochie! Facing Fei Ren's thunderous counterattack, the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold was shocked. However, he couldn't resist this powerful attack. In the next moment, the robe in front of his chest was torn apart and his sternum shattered inch by inch. Then his entire body fell to the yellow sand behind him like a broken sack and spat out a large mouthful of thick blood. The second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold was lying on the yellow sand like a dead dog. His breathing was shallow and his injuries were severe. It seemed that he wasn't far from death. Although Fei Ren's cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Star Realm, anyone below the Martial Master Realm was no match for him. Not to mention, the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold was only at the 10th level of the Star Realm and hadn't even stepped into the half-step Martial Master Realm. Second brother, seeing that the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold had been severely injured by Fei Ren in one move and was on the verge of death, the black-robed, middle-aged man not far away was also furious. After all, his opponent was his twin brother and the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold. He had never imagined that the ordinary-looking Fei Ren, whose cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Star Realm, would be so terrifying. Even a 10th level Star Realm martial artist was no match for him. So powerful. Seeing that Fei Ren had killed the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold in one move, Lin Shuai, who was not far away, waved his long sword and escaped from the battle. His eyes were filled with shock. As one of the 3 great geniuses of Black Rock City, Lin Shuai suddenly had a strange feeling in his heart. Not only was the Fei Ren in front of him not weaker than him, but he was even more powerful than him. He could be called a top genius. Trash of the Lin clan. I won't let you go. Remember this. Retreat. Seeing that the situation had reversed, the black-robed, middle-aged man knew that there was no hope for him to rob. He immediately shouted angrily and rode the huge black wolf under his feet toward the yellow sand slope not far away. Obviously, he didn't want to be entangled in this battle. Now that Fei Run had the strength to kill a 10th level Star Realm cultivator, and Lin Shuai was eyeing him covetously, the black-robed, middle-aged man knew that he didn't have the strength to fight one against two. Even if he had the advantage in numbers, he still didn't have the confidence to take down Fei Run. Therefore, he immediately chose to retreat. After all, for these bandits, they couldn't do business that was losing money. The rogue cultivators who became bandits in the Qatar desert were usually people who didn't seek profit. Huff, huff. Just as the black-robed, middle-aged man retreated, the rest of the Black Cloud's stronghold bandits were like birds that were startled by the twang of a bow. They all scattered and fled. Obviously, they were also shocked by Fei Ren's strength. Ran away. Knowing the principle of not chasing a cornered enemy, Fei Ren didn't chase after them when he saw the Black Cloud stronghold bandits retreat. Young Master Lin, Captain Qin, these Black Cloud stronghold bandits have been chased away. It's about time for us to return to Black Rock City. Fei Ren raised his hand and waved it in the air. He kept the spirit ring left behind on the corpse of the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold. In the next moment, he turned his head to look at Lin Shuai and Qin Gang, who were still in shock, and said, Chapter 285. I did not expect Brother Fei Run to be so strong. Even the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold was not your match. Swallowing his saliva secretly, Lin Shuai immediately restrained his shocked mind and replied. Although he could defeat the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold with his strength, he would not be able to do it as easily as Fei Ren. Moreover, the best result would be a Pyrrhic victory. From this point, it could be seen that Fei Ren's overall strength was already above him. Young Master's judgment is indeed correct. This Fei Ren is also a rare top genius. I wonder which family or sect he comes from in the great Ming Empire. To be able to nurture such a top genius, the power behind this child is definitely not weaker than the Lin family. At one side, Qin Gang took out a few pills and consumed them. At this moment, the injuries on his body had also recovered slightly. He looked at Fei Run with a trace of shock and surprise in his eyes. Although their Lin family caravan had been ambushed by the Black Cloud stronghold bandits and suffered heavy losses, it was fortunate that the precious goods on the caravan were still intact. These precious goods were all obtained from the desert tribes, and they could not afford to lose them at all costs. Young Master Lin is too polite. I have already used all my strength just now. Moreover, the black-robed middle-aged man is the leader of the Black Cloud stronghold, and his strength is obviously stronger than this fellow. There are also a group of bandits eyeing them covetously. If they really want to fight to the death, with just a few of us, we may not be able to gain any advantage. In the face of Lin Shuai's praise, Fei Run did not become complacent. He only glanced at the cold corpse of the second leader of the Black Cloud stronghold and said indifferently, just as he said before, after the Black Cloud stronghold bandits' ambush, there were not many people in the Lin family caravan who survived this time. Other than him, Lin Shuai, and Qin Gang, there were only 2 Lin family guards who were slightly injured. As for the rest of the Lin family guards, they were all killed on the battlefield. Young Master, in order to protect the goods, our brothers all died in battle. Only the 2 of us are left. By the side, the eyes of one of the surviving guards of the Lin family turned red as he looked at Lin Shuai. There was a hint of grief and anger in his eyes. After all, seeing so many of their former companions fall before their eyes and die miserably at the hands of the Black Cloud stronghold bandits, anyone with flesh and blood would feel anger and sorrow. They're all good. Bury the bodies of our brothers on the spot. The Lin family will not mistreat their families. Looking at the injured Lin family guard, Lin Shuai couldn't bear it and waved his hand. Not long after, the corpses of the Lin family guards were all buried on the spot. As for the corpses of the surrounding bandits, Lin Shuai and Qin Gang ignored them, as if they were planning to throw them into the desert to be eaten by the desert magical beasts. These are all life essences. We can't waste them. Seeing this scene, Faerun also had an idea. He immediately activated the Immortal refining cauldron. At the same time, he leaned over to the bandit corpses. Waves of powerful suction force suddenly erupted from his palm. Immediately, he absorbed and refined all the remaining life essence on the bandit corpses, and then transformed it into pure origin energy. Not bad. I'm only half away from breaking through to the 7th level of the Star Realm. A few minutes later, in order not to arouse Lin Shuai and the other suspicion, Faerun stood up again and gave up on absorbing the life essences. Brother Faerun, now that the bandits of the Black Cloud stronghold have retreated, we can return to the Lin family in Black Rock City in about a day at our current speed. This time, we have to thank Brother Faerun for your help. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The precious goods purchased by the Lin family would definitely have been lost. Looking at Faerun again, Lin Shuai took a deep breath and sighed. Faerun only nodded, indicating that there was no need to be polite. Then, he stepped onto the carriage again and began to rest. Black Rock City was an important city at the border of the Great Ming Imperial City. The entire city was extremely large, spanning tens of thousands of miles. At the same time, it could accommodate millions of people. Moreover, Black Rock City was located in the middle of a mountain range. The entire city was built against the mountain. From afar, it looked like a majestic black fortress. Brother Faerun, we have returned to Black Rock City. Looking at the pitch-black city gate from afar, Lin Shuai's face revealed a trace of gratification. At the same time, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Along the way, they had passed through the Katter Desert without any mishaps. At the same time, they had safely transported the goods back to Black Rock City. As long as they reached Black Rock City, it would be the Lin family's territory. They would no longer have to worry about bandits blocking their way. After all, the Lin family was one of the 3 great families in Black Rock City. Other than the other 2 great families, there were not many people who dared to openly challenge the Lin family in the city. After all, the reputation of an 8th-rank family was not baseless. So this is Black Rock City. It is even more prosperous than the Great Chu Imperial City back then. Hearing this, Faerun also raised his eyes to look at the city gate tower above. He saw a huge purple gold plaque erected there. The 3 words Black Rock City could be clearly seen. At this moment, there was an endless stream of martial artists coming and going at the city gate. High-star stage martial artists were very common. Among them, there were many half-step martial masters and even martial masters. Young master, Brother Faerun, let's enter the city. Beside them, Qin Gang also reminded them. At the same time, he urged the carriage to advance towards Black Rock City. Hiya! 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 Just as Faerun and the rest entered Black Rock City, they were greeted by the sound of hurried, galloping horses. It was a group of more than 10 people. At this moment, the leader was a handsome young man in yellow robes. Moreover, the Yuan power aura of the young man in yellow robes was very strong. Clearly, he had an extraordinary background. Nay, the horses galloped in the direction of Faerun and the rest. Just as the 2 parties were about to collide, the young man in yellow robes gripped the reins tightly and stopped the galloping horses. At this moment, a smile appeared on his face. Oh, isn't this the young master of the Lin family? I didn't expect the dignified young master of the Lin family to be in such a sorry state. Looks like you guys have encountered some trouble. His gaze swept across Faerun and the rest in front of him, then slowly landed on Lin Shuai. In the next moment, the young man in yellow robes curled the corners of his mouth and said in a playful tone. It had to be said that other than Faerun, Lin Shuai and Qin Gang were both injured and looked somewhat miserable. As for the 2 Lin family guards beside them, naturally, their situation was not much better. It was no wonder that the young man in yellow robes would suddenly mock them. Who is this guy? Looking at the arrogant young man in yellow robes in front of him, Faerun frowned slightly and secretly transmitted his voice to Lin Shuai. who was beside him. He seemed to be displeased by the gloating look on Lin Shuai's face. Lu Xuanyu. This guy is not weak and is on par with me. At the same time, the Liu family behind him is also one of the 3 major families in Blackrock City and is ranked as a grade 8 family. In response to Fei Ren's question, Lin Shuai's expression turned ugly. Then, he replied in a low voice. Although the Lin family was one of the 3 major families in Blackrock City and was ranked as a grade 8 family, they had encountered some difficulties in recent years. Not only was the family's business getting worse and worse, but the younger generation in the family was also gradually losing their strength. At the same time, they had to face the combined suppression of the Liu family behind Lu Xuanyu and another family. It could be said that they were in a difficult situation. Chapter 286. Lu Xuanyu's strength is on par with Lin Shuai's. Looks like he's also a direct descendant of the Liu family and has a high status. Fei Ren seemed to be deep in thought when he finished speaking. His eyes were calm. Although the yellow-robed young man in front of him had an extraordinary aura and had also reached the 10th level of the Star Realm, he was still no match for Lu Xuanyu. He could defeat Lu Xuanyu within 5 moves without any suspense. If the geniuses of the same generation were already so weak, it was needless to say that ordinary martial artists of the higher star state were no match for Fei Ren at all. Lu Xuanyu, what do you mean by this? Lin Shuai, the young master of the Lin family, questioned Lu Xuanyu's provocation with a darkened face. After all, the Lin family's caravan had suffered heavy losses when the Black Cloud Stronghold's bandits attacked them. Although they managed to keep the caravan's goods, many of the Lin family's guards had also died. Naturally, Lin Shuai was furious. Nothing. I just want to remind you that although the Lin family is also a grade 8 family, its strength is far inferior to the Liu families, let alone the Chao family. Let me give you a piece of advice. A wise man submits to circumstances. The Lin family is destined to decline and doesn't deserve to be one of the top 3 families in Blackrock City. Lu Xuanyu glanced at Lin Shuai again and sneered as if he was looking at a stray dog. Young Master Lu, aren't you being too absolute? Before Lin Shuai could say anything, Qin Gang could not help but speak up in the face of Lu Xuanyu's contempt. His face was as dark as stagnant water, as if he had been provoked. After all, no matter what, the Lin family was still a dignified rank 8 family. There were 2 martial master realm experts in the family. Even if the strength of the Lin family's disciples was gradually weakening, and there were very few of the younger generation with cultivation talent, the family's foundation was still there. It was not something that ordinary families and forces could match. Although the Lin family was at the bottom of the list among the top 3 families in Blackrock City, the backbone of the family was still there. Moreover, as long as the Lin family's patriarch and the Lin family's great elder, who were both martial master experts, were still there, it would be difficult for the Lin family to fall. Therefore, Qin Gang, the captain of the Lin family's guards, was very displeased when he saw Lu Xuanyu slandering the Lin family. You can be stubborn all you want. Anyway, you'll know when the time comes. I hope your Lin clan won't lose too badly in the Heavenly Yuan pool competition 3 months later. Ha ha ha. Lu Xuanyu glanced at the furious Qin Gang and smiled. The next moment, he laughed out loud and left on his horse. Go! Following closely behind Lu Xuanyu, the Liu clan's people also left one after another, heading straight out of the city as if they were going out a train. At this moment, even the cultivators who were entering the city made way for them, clearly not daring to provoke them. Captain Qin, is this person a direct descendant of the Liu family? Fei Ren asked after watching Lu Xuanyu and the others leave. At the same time, he looked at Qin Gang beside him. According to his judgment, given Lu Xuanyu's cultivation and strength, his status in the Liu clan was definitely not low. After all, he had reached level 10 Star Realm at such a young age and was only 1 step away from the half-step Martial Master Realm. Moreover, it was rare for him to have dozens of personal guards following him when he went out. That's right, he's the eldest son of the Liu family's patriarch. Like the young master, He's one of the three geniuses of Black Rock City. However, Lu Xuanyu is arrogant and arrogant. Other than Chao Ling, the genius of the Chao family, he doesn't take anyone of the younger generation seriously. In response to Fei Ren's question, Qin Gang nodded and did not deny it. As the captain of the Lin clan's guards, his status in the Lin clan was not low. He was considered one of the confidants of the Lin clan's patriarch. Otherwise, he would not have followed Lin Shuai for such a long time. Apart from protecting Lin Shuai, this was also a sign of trust. Brother Fei Ren, please don't laugh at me. Just as Qin Gang said, Lu Xuanyu is indeed like that. Although he's very annoying, my strength is limited. At most, I can fight him to a draw, but I can't defeat him. At this moment, Lin Shuai sighed and smiled bitterly. Although he did not want to concede, just as Qin Gang had said, the Lin clan was gradually declining. The reason for the Lin clan's decline was not only because of the lack of young people and their weak strength, but also because of the suppression and targeting of the two great clans. In the current Black Rock City, the three great 8th-rank clans reigned supreme. Aside from the Lin clan, which was at the bottom, the other two great clans were the Lu clan and the Chao clan. Amongst them, the Chao clan was the strongest and had the longest history. They had a history of almost 300 years. Therefore, the Lin clan was naturally in a difficult situation under the suppression of the Chao and Lu clans. The clan's business was gradually declining. Most of the Lin clan's shops in the city were in a state of loss, and only a few of them were profitable. Due to these reasons, Lin Shuai personally led a team to the Qatar Desert to trade with some desert tribes. He planned to exchange for a batch of precious materials and ores to ease the Lin clan's urgent need. At the same time, this was the idea of Lin Shuai's father, the current head of the Lin clan, Lin Jinan. As the head of the Lin clan, Lin Jinan was also a level 3 martial master expert. He was quite powerful, but his strength alone could not reverse the Lin clan's decline. The Lu clan, the Chao clan, looks like your Lin clan is being suppressed by these two clans. Hearing this, Fei Ren looked thoughtful. At this point, he finally understood the whole story and why Lin Shuai had personally led the Lin clan's caravan across the Qatar Desert. It was all because he had no other choice. That's right. Moreover, the Heavenly Yuan Lake competition will be held in 3 months' time. If we are unable to secure a spot in the Heavenly Yuan Lake competition, I'm afraid that our Lin family's title as one of the 3 great families of Black Rock City will be snatched away. Even though the Lin family is only an 8th grade family, many other families and forces have risen to power in Black Rock City over the past few years. Their momentum is fierce. If it were not for the fact that our Lin family has 2 martial masters, we would have lost our position as one of the 3 great families in Black Rock City long ago. With a sigh, Lin Shuai shook his head and mocked himself. He no longer had the demeanor of one of the 3 great geniuses of Black Rock City. Instead, his dark eyes were filled with anxiety. It was as if he desperately wanted to turn the situation around for the Lin family and turn the tide. Heavenly Yuan pool competition? Looking at Lin Shuai's worried face, Fei Ren rubbed his nose with a slightly surprised expression. Lu Xuanyu had mentioned the Heavenly Yuan pool competition before he left. Although Zhou Bao did not know the details, he could tell that the Heavenly Yuan pool competition was very important to the Lin family and the Lu family. It was a big deal. Chapter 287. That's right. The Heavenly Yuan pool competition concerns the core interests of our Lin clan. If we can't achieve good results in the Heavenly Yuan pool competition, our Lin clan will most likely have to withdraw from the ranks of the 3 major clans in Black Rock City and hand over the title to another clan. Lin Shuai nodded and immediately explained slowly. Lin Shuai, the title of one of the 3 great clans of Black Rock City, is just an empty title. No matter what the cultivators outside say, your Lin family is still an 8th rank clan. Even if you lose this title, it won't be a big deal, right? Fei Ren was still puzzled after hearing Lin Shuai's words. From Lin Shuai's and Qin Gang's reactions, it seemed that the Heavenly Yuan pool competition was not that simple. If it was only for the title of one of the three great clans of Blackrock City, the Lin family would not have to go through so much trouble. It's not that simple. In Blackrock City, only the disciples of the three great clans are qualified to enjoy the baptism of the Heavenly Yuan pool. There are very few spots available for the baptism. Therefore, they can only compete to determine who is better and how many spots each clan has. In the hundreds of years of Blackrock City's history, the rise of every powerful force has never left the Heavenly Yuan pool. The Heavenly Yuan pool is an ancient spring with its mouth rooted in the depths of the mountain range. Moreover, the pool water contains rich Yuan power and life qi. Every year, it will spew out a large amount of pure Yuan power and life qi. If an ordinary cultivator absorbs the pure Yuan power and life qi from the pool water, not only will his Yuan power cultivation increase greatly, even his physique will be greatly strengthened and his strength will soar. Lin Shuai shook his head and smiled faintly. His eyes could not help but reveal a trace of longing. It seemed that the Heavenly Yuan pool was infinitely mysterious and was a top-grade treasure land. It was so magical. Even Fei Run was attracted by the magical effects of the Heavenly Yuan pool. He was slightly surprised. His Yuan power cultivation was still stuck at the 6th level of the star stage. Although he had absorbed a large amount of life qi from the corpses of the bandits, he still needed at least half of his Yuan power to break through. Even if he swallowed low-grade Yuan stones to break through, he would need at least 50,000 low-grade Yuan stones. 50,000 low-grade Yuan stones was not a small amount for Fei Rin. Currently, he was extremely poor. Other than the magic core of the green striped red snake and the magic core of the fire spirit bear, he did not even have 5,000 low-grade origin stones in his spirit ring. It was simply too far away for him to break through. Therefore, the Heavenly Yuan pool that Lin Shuai and the others mentioned immediately attracted Fei Rin's attention. If he could obtain a spot to enter the Heavenly Yuan pool and absorb the large amount of pure Yuan qi and life energy contained in the pool water, it would only be a matter of time before he broke through. Marshal Lin, did you just say that your Lin family also has a quota to participate in the Heavenly Yuan pool's baptism? Thinking of this, Fei Rin immediately restrained his thoughts. At the same time, his expression returned to normal as he asked, "Of course. The Heavenly Yuan pool is the only place with spiritual energy in the entire Blackrock City. It has always been guarded by members of our three great clans. When Blackrock City was first built, it was built around the Heavenly Yuan pool spring, stretching across the entire mountain range. However, it is not so easy to obtain this quota. You have to go through some competitions. Only those who are strong enough can obtain this quota." Lin Shuai changed the topic and revealed a bitter smile on his face, as if there was something that he could not say. "Young master, we will arrive at the clan soon. Let's go back first. The clan leader and the great elder should be waiting for us." At this moment, Qin Gang and the other two Lin family guards were also driving the carriages. The next moment, they turned around to look at Lin Shuai and Fei Run and reminded them. Ever since he met Lu Xuanyu at the city gate, he had mixed feelings. Just as Lu Xuanyu had said, the Lin family was gradually declining. Not only would it be difficult for them to maintain their status as one of the three great clans after this Heavenly Yuan pool competition, if the Lin family's results were still poor, they would probably even lose the right to participate in the Heavenly Yuan pool competition. After all, in Blackrock City, only the people from the three great clans were qualified to guard the Heavenly Yuan pool and enjoy the annual baptism. If they lost their status as one of the three great clans, the Lin family's disciples would not be able to obtain a quota to participate in the Heavenly Yuan pool baptism. As the captain of the Lin family guards, Qin Gang had also gone through fire and water for the Lin family for decades. He had a strong sense of belonging to the Lin family. Seeing the Lin family gradually decline, he felt deeply helpless and melancholy in his heart and tried to salvage the situation. "Let's go." In response to Qin Gang's reminder, Lin Shuai did not say anything and immediately nodded. Now that there were still more than 3 months to the Heavenly Yuan Pool competition, he was not in a hurry. What he needed to do now was to bring back the precious materials and minerals he had traded with the desert tribes, and at the same time, alleviate the Lin family's business crisis. I have to think of a way to obtain a quota for the Heavenly Yuan Pool from the Lin family. I can't let the Lin family be suppressed like this. Leaning against the back of the carriage, Fei Rin's eyes were deep in thought. Now that the Chao and Liu families had already decided to target the Lin family, if he wanted to obtain a quota for the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism, he had to help the Lin family achieve good results in the Heavenly Yuan Pool competition 3 months later. Otherwise, once the Lin family was removed from the 3 great clans, Fei Rin would suffer a great loss. After all, with his current cultivation base, every breakthrough required a large amount of low-grade primordial stones, unless he used the Immortal refining cauldron to devour and refine hundreds of corpses of 10th-level Star Realm experts. However, although the overall strength of the martial artists in Blackrock City was slightly stronger than that of the Great Shu Imperial City, and there were many martial masters, 10th-level Star Realm experts were not cabbages that could be found on the street. After all, they could kill hundreds of them easily. Therefore, Fei Rin was determined to obtain a quota for the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism this time. "Young master, you're back." At the entrance of the Lin family, a young guard was standing guard. When he saw Lin Shuai and the rest returning to the Lin family, he immediately took a step forward. "Young master, why are our brothers so heavily injured? What happened?" Seeing that Lin Shuai, Qin Gang, and the others were all injured, and that there were only 4 or 5 people left in the group, the young guard immediately exclaimed in shock. "Where's the family head?" Ignoring the young guard's shock, Lin Shuai's expression was solemn as he spoke indifferently. The family head of the Lin family, Lin Jinan, was his father. This time, their group was suddenly attacked by the Black Cloud Citadel bandits. Although they were lucky enough to protect the goods in the convoy, they still suffered heavy casualties. Therefore, Lin Shuai had to report the casualties to the family head. The family head is still in seclusion. Currently, all the family affairs are being handled by Great Elder Lin Fun. Seeing Lin Shuai's solemn expression, the young guard did not dare to say anything more. He immediately cupped his hands respectfully and lowered his head slightly. "Father is in seclusion?" Hearing this, Lin Shuai's expression immediately froze, as if he was surprised. "Yes, young master. 3 days ago, the family head said that he had comprehended a trace of the martial way's mystery and planned to enter seclusion to break through to the 4th-level martial master stage. Therefore, he temporarily handed over all the family affairs to Great Elder Lin Fun and has yet to come out of seclusion." In response to Lin Shuai's question, the young guard nodded again. His expression was respectful and reverent, clearly not daring to lie. Chapter 288. Where is the Great Elder now? Lin Shuai clenched his fist and asked again. There were 2 martial master experts in the Lin family. Other than Lin Jinan, the head of the Lin family, the other was the Great Elder, Lin Fun. Lin Fun was Lin Jinnan's younger brother. In terms of experience and strength, he was second only to Lin Jinan. Therefore, it was not inappropriate for Lin Fun to manage the Lin family's affairs while Lin Jinan was in seclusion. Lin Shuai's father, Lin Jinan, was a level 3 martial master. He was only 1 step away from breaking through to level 4 martial master. However, to a martial artist, the bottleneck of the realm was like a ravine in front of them. It was not easy to break through. Even an expert like Lin Jinan had been stuck at the 3rd level of the martial master realm for dozens of years and had not taken half a step forward. Why did father suddenly decide to go into seclusion? Could it be because of the recent family matters and the Heavenly Yuan Pool competition in 3 months? Thinking of this, Lin Shuai could not help but frown. After all, not everyone was like Fei Rin, who had fused with the Immortal refining cauldron in his dantian. Most warriors faced a bottleneck when breaking through. Once the breakthrough failed, all their previous efforts would be wasted. In the worst case, they would die from qi deviation. Therefore, Lin Shuai was very worried about Fei Ren's seclusion. The Great Elder is currently in the family hall. Other than the Great Elder, some of the family branch elders are also there to discuss matters. The young guard once again cupped his hands together and said respectfully, before he opened his mouth to speak, "Qin gang, take the brothers and unload all the goods into the family warehouse. I'll go see the Great Elder and the rest." Hearing this, Lin Shuai instructed Qin gang and the rest. At the same time, his gaze once again turned towards Fei Run. "Brother Fei Run, thank you for your help this time. The Lin family will definitely reward you greatly. Please come with me to the family hall." "As you wish." Fei Ren nodded and immediately agreed. He naturally had to be rewarded for his help. After all, he was a person who prioritized benefits. At this moment, in the family hall of the Lin family. "Great Elder, what should we do? The head of the family has been in seclusion for 3 days, and there is no movement at all. Could it be that the breakthrough failed?" A middle-aged man with a thin face said. At the same time, he raised his eyes to look at a white-haired old man in the middle of the hall. His tone was somewhat anxious. The middle-aged man in front of him was a branch elder of the Lin family. Although his status was not as high as the Lin family's great elder, Lin Fun, his cultivation had reached the 10th level of the Star Realm. He was on par with Lin Shuai, the young master of the Lin family. Nonsense. Lord Patriarch is one of the veteran experts of Black Rock City. His cultivation has already reached the 3rd level of the Martial Master Realm. How could something happen to him so easily? In my opinion, we should just wait patiently. At the very least, before the next Heavenly Yuan Pool competition, the clan head will definitely come out of his closed-door training. As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, another elder from the Lin family's branch family retorted. His tone was filled with disdain, as if he felt that the other party was making a fuss over nothing and worrying too much. That makes sense, although the Chow family and the Liu family are not good people and have been targeting our Lin family at all times. As long as the clan head and the Great Elder are around, they will not be able to cause any trouble. At this moment, the Lin family's elders in the hall were also discussing spiritedly. They were all the elites of the Lin family. Their strength was at least at the 8th level of the Star Realm. Apart from Lin Jinan and Lin Fun, these people could be considered the Lin family's current top fighting force. All right, let's not talk about these meaningless things. The clan head is still in closed-door training. No matter what, we have to think of a way to protect the Lin family's position as one of the 3 great clans of Black Rock City. At the same time, we have to achieve good results in the Heavenly Yuan Pool competition 3 months from now. As for the rest, they are all trivial matters. I didn't call you elders of the Lin family's branch families here for a chat. The white-haired old man in the middle of the hall softly shouted. His tone was solemn, and he interrupted everyone's discussion at the same time. The white-haired old man's eyes were as sharp as a hawk's. His turbid eyes emitted a sharp gaze. Although his body was slightly stooped, his entire body emitted a powerful Yuan power aura. His every movement faintly revealed an invisible aura. Clearly, he was a powerful and ruthless person. First Elder. Everyone in the hall fell silent when they heard the white-haired old man speak. It was as if they were afraid of his prestige. First Elder, I've returned. At this moment, a clear male voice was transmitted from a distance. In the next instant, Lin Shuai and Fei Ren both stepped into the hall. Their gazes directly looked towards the white-haired old man in the middle of the hall. He was the current 1st elder of the Lin family, Lin Fun. Young Master has returned. Fortunately, Young Master had a safe journey. I've heard that the bandits in the Qatar desert have become increasingly rampant recently. I wonder what happened. Who is this kid? The Lin family branch elders in the hall began to speak one after another when they saw Lin Shuai's safe return. A few of the elders' gazes landed on the unfamiliar Fei Ren. There was confusion in their eyes. Lin Shuai, it's been hard on you. The goods you brought back? A faint smile appeared on Lin Fun's face as he glanced at Lin Shuai. Even though he was the 1st elder, The other party was after all the son of Lin Jian and the current young master of the Lin family. Hence, he did not dare to put on airs. The goods have all been transported back to the family. However, we were attacked by the Black Cloud stockade bandits along the way. We suffered heavy losses, and the guard leader, Qin Gang, also suffered some injuries. If not for Brother Fei Ren's help, I'm afraid that we would not have been able to return. In response to Lin Fun's inquiry, Lin Shuai immediately nodded his head. At the same time, he turned his head to look at Fei Ren beside him. His tone was filled with sorrow. Black Cloud stockade bandits attacked. These fellows are so daring. They actually dared to bully our Lin family. We must teach these bandits a lesson. As his words sounded out, the Lin family branch elders were slightly stunned. Soon after, they were enraged. After all, the Lin family was a dignified rank 8 family and one of the 3 great families in Blackrock City. There were 2 martial master experts in the family. How could they tolerate a mere group of bandits stirring up trouble in their Lin family? That's enough. Little brother Fei Ren, I am the first elder of the Lin family, Lin Fun. This time, I thank you on behalf of the Lin family. When he heard this, Lin Fun waved his hand and stopped the discussion of the elders in the hall. At the same time, his gaze landed on Fei Ren, who was standing to one side. A peculiar expression flashed across his turbid eyes, causing one to be unable to fathom what he was thinking. First Elder is too courteous. It's just a small matter. Clasping his hands together, Fei Ren's expression was calm. He was already tired of listening to these polite words. Only the benefits that he obtained were real. If Lin Fun only knew how to talk big, he would not stay in the Lin family for even a moment. In order to obtain a spot for the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism, Fei Ren had considered everything. If the Lin family did not give him face, he did not mind trying his luck with their enemies, the Chao family and the Liu family. Chapter 289. Little brother Fei Ren, you have helped our Lin family greatly this time. What do you want to return? As the first elder of the Lin family, Lin Fun was naturally a shrewd person. He knew what Fei Ren wanted at this moment. First elder, I don't want anything in return. I only hope that the Lin family can help me with a small matter. Seeing that Lin Fun was a sensible person, Fei Ren immediately stopped being courteous and opened his mouth. What is it? Lin Fun was not the only one. The other Lin family branch elders also looked at Fei Ren one after another. Some of them were puzzled, as if they did not know what the other party was up to. I only want a spot to participate in the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism. That's enough. After looking around, Fei Ren once again lifted his eyes to look at Lin Fun, who was standing in the middle of the hall, and said with a faint smile. In the beginning, he had indeed planned to ask the Lin family for some yuan stones and pills as compensation. However, after hearing the rumors about the Heavenly Yuan Pool, Fei Ren changed his mind at the last minute. After all, with his current yuan power cultivation base, the total amount of yuan power required for each breakthrough was incomparably huge. Tens of thousands of low-grade yuan stones were only enough for him to break through to the 7th level of the star stage. It would be better for him to soak in the legendary Heavenly Yuan Pool water in Blackrock City. The effects of this cultivation would be much more powerful than simply absorbing low-grade yuan stones and monster cores. What? Even the inner disciples of our Lin family have difficulty obtaining a spot to participate in the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism. It's extremely rare. How can we just give it away so easily? I don't think so. However, although Fei Ren's idea was good, it was doubted by some of the Lin family branch elders. One of the Lin family branch elders also objected on the spot, his tone firm. Little brother, although you have helped the Lin family by helping the young master and the others escape, your request is a little too much. Beside him, a black-robed elder holding a black wooden walking stick said in a sinister tone. His tone was cold, as if he felt that Fei Ren was asking for too much and did not know how to appreciate his kindness. That's right. As you can see, even if this old man agrees to your request, I'm afraid that the group of Lin clan elders will not agree. Little brother, please change your request. As long as our Lin family is able to afford it, you can ask for anything. As for the precious spot for the heavenly Yuan pool baptism. At this point, Lin Fen paused for a moment. At the same time, he looked towards Fei Run, as if he was waiting for the latter's reaction. When Fei Ren had first stepped into the hall, he had also noticed his Yuan power aura. Surprisingly, he had reached the 6th level of the star realm. Moreover, he had reached the 6th level of the star realm at such a young age. Even in the Lin clan, he could be considered a moldable talent. Therefore, Lin Fen also subconsciously thought that it was very likely that the other party was also a genius disciple from one of the great Ming Empire's forces. Immediately, his tone became more polite. Elders, you seem to have a problem with me asking for a baptism slot in the heavenly essence pool. Fei Ren was not surprised by the many Lin clan elders' objections and Lin Fen's meaningful rejection. He smiled again. Kid, your Yuan power cultivation is only at the 6th level of the star realm. You're too weak. Let's not even talk about whether our Lin clan can achieve good results in the heavenly Yuan pool competition 3 months from now. Even if we give you a baptism slot in the heavenly Yuan pool, this old man feels that it would be a waste. The black-robed elder in his hand tapped the ground with his black wooden cane as he spoke indifferently. There was a trace of disdain in his eyes as he looked at Fei Run. It was as if he did not take the other party seriously. After all, Fei Ren had only helped Lin Shuai and the others escape from the Black Cloud Citadel's attack. Seeing was not believing. Even with Lin Shuai's testimony, the black-robed elder still had great doubts about Fei Ren's strength. Moreover, Lin Shuai's Yuan power cultivation was only at the 6th level of the star realm. Even the guard captain Qin Gang was inferior to him, let alone Lin Shuai, who was at the 10th level of the star realm. How could Fei Ren defeat the Black Cloud Citadel and save Lin Shuai and the others at the same time? In the black-robed elder's eyes, this was simply a joke. It was absolutely impossible for it to happen. Elder Lin Ping, what do you mean by this? Do you not believe my words? Lin Shuai asked in a low voice. Lin Shuai's face was also filled with indignation when the black-robed elder finished speaking. The black-robed elder's actions were not only targeting Fei Run, but had also implicated him. After all, he had invited Fei Run to return to the Lin clan. Young master, this old man does not doubt your words. I'm just stating a fact. Strength is not something that can be demonstrated by talking big. The black-robed elder called Lin Ping shook his head in response to Lin Shuai's question. His gaze was still fixed on Fei Run. His eyes were like a vulture's, as if he wanted to see exactly what kind of background Lin Shuai had that could make him look at him in a different light. That is indeed the case. Elder Lin Ping, right? You're spouting so much nonsense because you think I'm weak. If I defeat you, will you shut up? Even with Fei Ren's temperament, he was enraged when he saw Lin Ping repeatedly provoking him. He immediately sneered and opened his mouth to reply. Lin Ping's Yuan power cultivation was only at the 9th level of the star realm, which was the same level as the guard captain Qin Gang. He could kill an opponent of this level in 3 moves as easily as blowing off dust. Among the people present, other than the martial master Lin Fen, no one was a match for Fei Run. Little brother, I hope you won't act on impulse. Elder Lin Ping is a veteran expert at the 9th level of the star realm. With your current strength, I'm afraid. Lin Fen's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw Fei Ren challenge Lin Ping. The next moment, he stroked his long beard and said faintly, as if he also felt that Fei Run was overestimating himself. However, he did not directly point it out in consideration of Lin Shuai's reputation. Great Elder, I'm not acting on impulse. I hope you'll allow me to do so, and, at the same time, let Elder Lin Ping give me some pointers. Ignoring Lin Fen's advice, Fei Ren's eyes were sharp as he stared intently at Lin Ping. His entire body emitted a vigorous battle intent. It was obvious that he was determined to fight. Brother Fei Run, Elder Lin Ping did not mean that. Let's not damage the harmony. Lin Shuai immediately tried to dissuade Lin Ping when he saw that the air was gradually filled with the smell of gunpowder. He seemed to want to be a peacemaker. After all, Fei Run was his friend, and Lin Ping was a branch elder of the Lin family. Lin Shuai did not want to damage the harmony between both sides. Lin Shuai, if you want to return the favor, please don't stop me this time. However, Fei Ren ignored Lin Shuai's advice. His eyes were cold and indifferent. Even if he couldn't get a place for the heavenly Yuan Pool's baptism from the Lin family, he would let Lin Ping know the consequences of acting tough. He, Fei Ren, wasn't a master that could be bullied by just anyone. Since he wasn't convinced, then he would beat him until he was convinced. Sharp-tongued brat, you want to fight? This old man will accompany you to the end. First elder, don't stop this old man. This old man wants to see what this brat is capable of today. Similarly, Lin Ping's old face flushed red in the face of Fei Ren's challenge. He heavily slammed the black wooden cane in his hand into the ground. He seemed to feel that Fei Ren was looking down on him. Anger surfaced on his wrinkled, old face. Chapter 290. In Lin Ping's opinion, Fei Ren was only at the 6th level of the Star Realm. Even if Fei Ren was talented in comprehension, his strength would at most be at the 7th level of the Star Realm. As long as Lin Fin nodded, he was confident that he would be able to defeat Fei Ren in less than 3 moves. Lin Ping had seen many geniuses who were proud and arrogant just because they had some talent. Obviously, he also considered Fei Ren to be one of them. Little brat, I'll show you the difference in strength. Lin Ping swore in his heart. In the next moment, a trace of viciousness flashed across his eyes. At the same time, he tightened his grip on the black wooden cane in his right hand. Lin Ping, this kid is our Lin family's benefactor. Don't overdo it. Seeing that both sides were ready to fight, Lin Fin tacitly agreed to the duel. At the same time, he looked at Fei Ren and said, "Little brother, if you insist on fighting with Elder Lin Ping, it's fine. However, this hall is too small. I'm afraid it won't be convenient for you to fight." "No need. I can finish the fight in 5 breaths." Fei Ren shook his head in response to Lin Fin's suggestion. In the next moment, an extraordinary fluctuation of origin power surged out from his body. Although his cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Star Realm, his aura was not weaker than Lin Ping's. This kid, what a powerful aura. Seeing this scene, a middle-aged man immediately cried out in a low voice. He was also a branch elder of the Lin family, and his strength was only slightly weaker than Lin Ping's. However, from Fei Ren's body, he actually felt a trace of a fatal threat. He has such a powerful aura with a mere 6th level of the Star Realm cultivation base. This kid must have killed a lot of people. In the center of the hall, Lin Fin took a few steps back. When he saw the powerful aura surging out from Fei Ren's body, he was also surprised. In the next moment, his expression turned serious. As a martial master expert, even he could not help but feel a trace of threat in the face of such an enormous aura. Aura alone is useless. Soul-seizing. Seeing Fei Ren's imposing manner and how he was completely disregarded, Lin Ping flew into a rage out of humiliation. Immediately, he heavily slammed the black wooden cane in his hand. Yuan Qi erupted as he simultaneously raised his hand and blasted out a pitch-black ghost head shadow. The ghost head phantasm roared again and again. It was like a reaper from hell. In an instant, it attacked Fei Ren. At the same time, it swept up a series of remnant winds. This move, Seizing Soul and Seizing Soul, was Lin Ping's specialty. Its power was comparable to a quasi-rank 5 martial art. He used his full strength right from the start. This was also Lin Ping's plan. He wanted to defeat Fei Ren with a thunderous force and let him know the immensity of heaven and earth. Shua. A sinister wind blew as the ghost head phantasm instantly arrived in front of Fei Ren. However, in the next moment, it dissipated and turned into nothingness. It was as if it had been destroyed by a powerful and invisible force. It did not hurt Fei Ren at all. What? Seeing this scene, not only Lin Ping, but even Lin Shuai and the other elders of the Lin family, who were watching from the side, had a drastic change in expression. They could not believe it. Only Lin Fin seemed to have realized something. A trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. "It's my turn." Fei Ren lifted his hand and patted the dust off his body. His gaze once again looked at Lin Ping. His tone was cold. "I said that I would finish this battle in 5 breaths. How is this possible? You..." Before he could finish speaking, the shocked expression on Lin Ping's face froze. His entire body was sent flying by Fei Ren's punch. Blood splattered everywhere. Along the way, he crashed into several tables and chairs. Finally, he fell heavily into the corner of the hall. His aura instantly withered. Instant kill with 1 punch. Even though Lin Ping, who was at the 9th level star realm, had used a quasi-rank 5 martial art, he was still no match for Fei Ren. Can't even withstand a single blow. Fei Ren glanced at Lin Ping, whose aura was weak and covered in blood. He had completely lost the ability to fight. His expression was calm, as if he had just casually dealt with an insignificant piece of trash. So powerful. Seeing Lin Ping's miserable state, Lin Shuai, who was watching the battle, also secretly swallowed his saliva. It was only at this moment that he realized that Fei Ren had clearly not used his full strength when he killed the 2nd chief of the Black Cloud Stronghold. His opponent's strength was no weaker than any half-step martial master expert. After all, even Lin Shuai, who was at the 10th level star realm, did not dare to say that he could kill Lin Ping in 1 move. At the very least, he would have to fight for dozens of rounds. This kid's strength is actually so strong. Lin Ping's strength is one of the best among us. To think that he couldn't even last 1 round against this kid. It seems that the young master's words were true. Seeing Lin Ping's miserable defeat without any ability to fight back, the Lin family branch elders in the hall looked at each other in dismay. Then, they began to discuss in low voices. They seemed to have been shocked by Fei Ren's strength. With a mere 6th level star realm cultivation, Fei Ren was able to kill Lin Ping, who was at the 9th level star realm, in 1 move. It was enough for him to enter the ranks of the top 3 geniuses of Black Rock City and become the 4th of them. Powerful mental strength in addition to a thick and solid Yuan Li. With these 2 forces combined, he was able to resolve Lin Ping's strongest palm strike in an instant. Moreover, his movement technique is no weaker than any half-step martial master expert. Who the hell is this kid? Lin Fin's gaze fell on Fei Ren in the hall. He did not say a word. No one knew what he was thinking, but his expression gradually turned serious. He was certain that apart from his Yuan Li cultivation, Fei Ren's mental strength was also extraordinary. It was at least at the 3rd level of the profound martial realm, which was comparable to a grade 3 alchemist. First Elder, may I ask if I can obtain a spot for the Heavenly Yuan Pool's baptism with my strength? After dealing with Lin Ping, Fei Ren saw the group of Lin family branch elders looking at him with eyes full of reverence. Fei Ren stopped there and immediately retracted the Yuan power around his body. He once again raised his eyes to look at Lin Fun, who was in the middle of the hall. Now that Lin Ping, who had questioned his strength, had fallen, and the surrounding Lin clan's branch elders were also deeply awed, Fei Ren was confident that Lin Fen would not have any more excuses. After all, he had saved Lin Shuai and the others earlier. It was reasonable for the Lin clan to owe him a debt of gratitude. Little brother, although your strength has increased, I still can't give you a spot for the Heavenly Yuan Pool's baptism. Even our Lin clan only has 2 spots. Moreover, Elder Lin Ping is quite old. Why did you have to injure him so heavily? Please forgive this old man for not being able to agree to your request. However, Fei Ren still underestimated how thick-skinned Lin Fun was. Lin Fun still shook his head and frowned slightly. At the same time, there was a trace of blame in his voice, as if he felt that Lin Fun had been too heavy-handed. This old man, how could he be so shameless? Fei Ren secretly clenched his fists under his sleeves. His expression became increasingly solemn as he thought to himself. At this point, he also understood that Lin Fen would not agree to his request. If he wanted to obtain a spot for the Heavenly Yuan Pool's baptism, there was a high probability that he would have to find the Lin clan's enemies, the Chao and Lu clans. After all, the Heavenly Yuan Pool was a treasure trove that was jointly guarded by the three great clans of Blackrock City. Other than members of the three great clans, it was very difficult for other practitioners to even take half a step into the Heavenly Yuan Pool. Chapter 291. Great Elder, Fei Run is my friend. Furthermore, our Lin family owes him a debt of gratitude. How can we be so heartless? Seeing Lin Fun's resolute attitude, Lin Shuai stepped forward and spoke in a dissatisfied tone. Young master, it is not that I am heartless. Regardless of whether it is pills, yuan stones, or soul treasures, as long as the Lin family can afford it, we can use it as a reward. However, the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism quota is an exception. You should know that our entire Lin family only has 2 quotas. Furthermore, if our Lin family is unable to achieve good results in the Heavenly Yuan Pool competition 3 months later and remains at the bottom of the rankings, not only will our Lin family be kicked out of the top 3 families in Blackrock City, we will also have no fate with the Heavenly Yuan Pool. Hence, we cannot give the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism quota to an outsider. Lin Fin's tone was solemn as he spoke again. The meaning behind his words was self-evident. He seemed to feel that Lin Shuai was overly concerned about loyalty in the Jianghu and was willing to sacrifice the core interests of the Lin family for the sake of an outsider like Fei Run. Great Elder's words make sense. Little brother, it is not that our Lin family does not know how to repay kindness. However, the Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism quota is too precious and cannot be given away so easily. That's right. The 2 Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism quota should be reserved for the young master and Lin Xiushui. Only the 2 of them have the chance to turn the tide and emerge victorious in the Heavenly Yuan Pool competition 3 months later. At the same time, the Lin family will retain its position as one of the top 3 families. At this moment, a few Lin family branch elders were also discussing spiritedly. One of the Lin family elders cast an apologetic glance at Fei Run, as if he agreed with Lin Fun's decision. After all, one should keep the goodies within the family. Are these guys trying to play the good cop? Fine, then don't blame me for being heartless, Fei Run secretly said in his heart as he glanced once again at the resolute and solemn Lin Fun. Immediately, he coldly snorted and turned around to leave. He did not even intend to accept the reward that Lin Fin had promised him. After all, compared to a Heavenly Yuan Pool baptism quota, low-grade yuan stones, pills, and soul treasures were all worthless. He did not care about them at all, unless the Lin family could take out mid-grade primordial stones. The effect of absorbing tens of thousands of mid-grade primordial stones should be similar to the Heavenly Yuan Pool. However, the value of mid-grade primordial stones was not low either. 1 mid-grade primordial stone could be exchanged for 100 low-grade primordial stones. Tens of thousands of mid-grade primordial stones could be exchanged for millions of low-grade primordial stones. Taking out such a huge sum of money at once, even an 8th-rank family like the Lin family would suffer a great loss. Therefore, this situation was simply impossible. Little brother, don't be in a hurry to leave. Suddenly, just as Fei Run was about to leave the hall, a faint elderly voice was faintly emitted. In the next moment, everyone in the hall only felt a gust of wind assault them. Subsequently, a white-haired old man in a brocade robe appeared in front of everyone. The old man in the brocade robe had an extraordinary appearance. His every move seemed to carry a domineering aura. Patriarch, big brother. Upon seeing the appearance of the old man in the brocade robe, the elders from the Lin clan's branch families in the hall cupped their hands together and spoke out. Lin Fun's eyes were similarly shocked as he softly exclaimed, "Father, you've finally come out of seclusion." To the side, Lin Shuai's expression changed when he saw the familiar silhouette of the old man in the brocade robe. In the next moment, he cupped his hands together. The old man was the current patriarch of the Lin family, a level 3 martial master expert, Lin Jinan. He's the patriarch of the Lin family, Lin Jinan. This powerful Yuan power undulation has indeed reached the level 3 martial master level. Faced with Lin Jinnan's urging, Fei Ren also stopped in the next moment and looked in the direction of the old man. Little brother, you're very strong. Even Lin Shuai is far inferior to you. This old man is very clear in his heart. Turning his head, he saw Lin Jinnan step in front of Fei Ren with a trace of admiration in his eyes. The scene of Lin Ping killing Lin Ping with a single move had also entered his eyes. Although Fei Ren's Yuan power cultivation was only at level 6-star realm, Lin Jinnan was very clear in his heart that Fei Ren's overall strength was not weaker than any half-step martial master. Patriarch Lin is too polite. In the face of Lin Jinnan's praise, Fei Ren only cupped his hands together and did not say anything else. Little brother, do you want a spot for the heavenly Yuan Lake baptism? Lin Jinnan nodded and asked again in a probing tone. Although Lin Fen was unwilling to give up a spot for the heavenly Yuan Lake baptism, Lin Jinnan was different. He saw the extraordinary talent and potential in Fei Ren, and he might even be able to help the Lin family reverse this crisis. As long as the Lin family could escape this crisis, even giving up a spot for the heavenly Yuan Lake baptism would not be a big deal. Yes, Fei Ren nodded. He seemed to have sensed that there was still a chance for things to turn around, and his expression was firm. All right, this old man promises you. However, in the Heavenly Yuan Lake competition 3 months later, you have to participate as the Lin family's external aid. Otherwise, if the Lin family ranks last in the Heavenly Yuan Lake competition, the spot I promised you will no longer exist. Little brother, what do you think? Lin Jinnan stroked his beard and chuckled, as if he already had a plan in mind. After all, Fei Ren was not weak. With his help, the Lin family might be able to achieve a good result in the Heavenly Yuan Lake competition 3 months later. They might even be able to break through the Chao and Lu families' joint suppression and maintain their position as one of the 3 great families in Blackrock City. No problem. In the face of Lin Jinnan's conditions, Fei Ren readily agreed. In his opinion, as long as the other party agreed, the rest would not be a problem. Although the Chao and Lu families were both grade 8 families, and their younger generation members were not weak, Fei Ren did not think much of them. With his current strength, unless a level 2 martial master intervened, it would be very difficult for anyone to defeat him. Big brother, our Lin family only has 2 spots. If you give one of them to an outsider, what will happen to Qiu Shui and the rest? Isn't this a little unfair to the younger generation of the Lin family? When he saw that Lin Jinnan had agreed to Fei Ren's request, Lin Fen could no longer remain calm. He immediately stepped forward and spoke in an anxious tone, as if he felt that the other party's actions were somewhat inappropriate. Second brother, I know what you're thinking. You want to give the other spot to your son, Lin Qiushui, right? However, as your big brother, I must remind you that if the Lin family is unable to achieve a good result in the Heavenly Yuan Lake competition, it will be useless even if I fight for an extra spot for the younger generation of the Lin family. Right now, the Lin family can only maintain its position as one of the 3 great families in Blackrock City once and for all. In the face of Lin Fen's obstruction, Lin Jinnan did not take it to heart. His tone was solemn, as if he felt that the other party's reaction was too obvious and too selfish. In the Lin family, besides the young master Lin Shuai, there were many other young geniuses. The son of First Elder Lin Fen, the level 9-star stage Lin Qiushui, was one of them. Although Lin Qiushui's strength was inferior to Lin Shuai's, he was still one of the best among the younger generation of the Lin family. In the past Heavenly Yuan Lake competition, besides the young master Lin Shuai who was guaranteed a spot, the other spot would usually be given to Lin Qiushui. Hence, when he saw that Lin Jinnan had given the precious remaining spot to Fei Ren, Lin Fen's reaction was so huge that he found it hard to accept. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.